Hello and welcome to Metal Vice, a podcast where we talk about all things music.
Well, the things we care about.
That's right, which is mainly metal music and live music. I'm your host, Brian, joined with your other host,
Karen.
And this is our second episode around the Woodstock documentaries.
Yes.
This one's going to be focusing on the HBO documentary, which I think is, let me pull that up. I think it's Woodstock, Peace, Love, and Rage is the title of that.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, Peace, Love, and Rage. Woodstock, Peace, Love, and Rage. Sorry, Woodstock 99, Peace, Love, and Rage.
Okay.
This actually came out July 23rd, 2021. So a year before the Netflix one, which is the one we had already done.
Yes.
And that was last week's episode.
We should have done this one first and then done the Netflix one, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I always watch the Netflix one first.
Yeah.
And then I go to the HBO. So we kind of did it in the order that we watch it.
Yeah.
They cover the same topic, obviously, Woodstock 99, but they have different vibes to them a little bit.
Yes.
So we're going to focus on the HBO one. We'll try to solely focus on this, but we'll probably reference the other one as well.
Yeah,
being
a few
like,
times.
The Netflix one didn't have this, or they did this differently type thing.
Yeah.
But before we dive into that, just want to let you all know, if you're watching this on YouTube, by all means, you can leave a comment below and we'll interact with you through there, hopefully, if I remember to check that. Also, we have our Instagram account at MetalVice1 is the handle. You can talk to us there, chat with us there through the messaging function of Instagram, or what the fuck it is.
Instant messaging.
I don't know, whatever. Old and all that shit. Anyway, Instagram. If you know how to use Instagram, we're on there. You can talk to us there. Also, we have an email, metalvice1@gmail.com, that you can always reach out to us there as well. And of course, if you ever see us at a live show, by all means, come out and say
hi.
hey.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's dive into the HBO documentary a little bit. And we took notes again.
Yes, we did. Yes.
So this might be a little choppy as we sort of try to read our own handwriting, which mine is not always the greatest.
To be honest, out of the other one was 3 episodes. This was one hour and 40-minute doc. I think I took more notes during this one.
Did you?
than I did the other one. Yeah.
Interesting. We'll see if that's more.
Yeah.
I think I did too, maybe. Mine is more. I wanted to make sure I got things down because there's a lot I have to bitch about with this one.
That's true. That's true.
Versus the other one.
Yeah.
Wait, that's a good point. The Netflix one is 3 episodes, about an hour each.
Yeah, it's like a docuseries thing
Yeah.
that they've done. So
it was either the first or the second train wreck sort of series. And then it went several years without any, and then they came back with just a fuck ton right at once. Yeah. One of them being the asteroid, which we did a whole episode on that too.
We did as well, yeah.
But this one is just a single HBO documentary, which is like an hour and 50 minutes or so.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So yeah, you can watch this one on the HBO, whatever the fuck they're calling themselves at the time this goes up, and whenever you watch this, because they change their name every 6 fucking months.
AT&T, HBO.
Yeah, whatever the fuck maximum. It is, yeah. But this one starts out with sort of a cold open where there's no credits or anything, and it's just an interviewer talking to Michael Lang, who was sort of the founder, or one of the founders of the original Woodstock in '69, as well as responsible for '94 and '99 Woodstocks. But they're talking to him back at the '69 Woodstock about the whole event and how it's all happening and whatnot. And that's all I had down, other than it started with Michael Lang.
Yeah, it was just interesting how they started it, where it was kind of back at the '69 Woodstock, and kind of, if I remember right, the question was about what is the hardest thing about
running a festival?
Or whatever. And he's like,
the politics.
The politics, that's it. Otherwise it's pretty easy.
Yeah. Then we kind of go into the standard credits that you have. Yeah. And this shows more of the crowd coming into Woodstock 99. Yep. There's news reports going on around current events, both political, with the Monica Lewinsky, Bill Clinton scandal.
Yeah, it's a flash of this, a flash of that. Yeah, it's current event stuff that was happening in the 1990s, and then it would go to the Woodstock of people coming in with their bags and all that stuff.
And Y2K was another thing that was really big at the time that people were talking about. So just going through those current events, and then we get to they're in a house party.
Yeah.
I took a note of this because they had numbers. They had the reporter had actual numbers. He said,
really?
They're anticipating 350 attendees, 350,000 attendees with 10,000 staff supporting that group.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if that's a proper amount of staff for that number.
The percentage should be, but there couldn't have been 10,000 staff there.
That's what that news report said. Yeah. And I mean, the staffing is going to be, especially around security, is going to be a big issue here, as we saw in the last week's episode that we did around the Netflix. That's definitely a big undertone there. Again, it comes up here as well because, I mean, they're talking about the same thing and similar sort of outcomes. But I guess
staffing could include like the stage.
Yep.
Like the stage people.
The medics, the security on the rail, the roadies doing shit, the people working the concession stands, all that kind of shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then we go back to Woodstock 94 for a moment. So this is the first key difference for me between the two documentaries is the Netflix one completely glosses over 94.
Yeah, I think it's like mentioned that there was a 94 and it rained. And I think that's all that's mentioned. It's like there's nothing really about it.
It's a footnote. Exactly. Yeah. But here they go back to 94 and they start talking about that. Another note I had is that John Sear, who was the promoter of 99, was also the promoter of 94.
Yeah.
I didn't get that vibe, or I didn't pick up on that on the Netflix one.
I did get that with the Netflix one because he does make the comment of 94, we didn't, like, it was the peace, love, and rock and roll, and we didn't make money. We needed to make money in 99.
Okay.
Because he does say that in like one of his interviews in the Netflix one. So
I remember him saying that like 99 needed to be a profit venture.
Yeah.
But I assume they brought him in at 99.
That?
And he was just saying like 99, we needed to make money in 99.
Yeah.
So I didn't get the sense that he had worked on 94, but this one definitely calls out that he was the promoter.
Yep.
Every time you see his name pop up, it's promoter 94, 99 Woodstock.
Yep.
He does say from his point of view, Woodstock 94 was the last hurrah of the boomers and their kids.
He did, yes.
I remember that.
Yeah. And the 94 was, I think I already said like peace, love, and harmony, like 69 was.
Yeah. From Michael's point of view, he does say, because they're interviewing him as well, he says 94 was meant to be a bridge between the music of the Woodstock 99 and the contemporary music of the 90s.
Yep.
Both John and Michael saw 94 as a success. In the documentary, they both said they saw it as a success.
And they wanted it every 5 years, like to reoccur every 5 years, so that I had something on here, so like every generation could enjoy it or something. So I'm not sure how that came into that comment.
He was saying basically every graduating generation, every group of graduates, either high school or college, would then have a big hurrah to celebrate, their coming of age type thing, or they're moving on to the next part of their life. Is how I took it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Even though they said 94 was a success, they do call out that the rain was a factor, as well as people breaking in and getting in without tickets, which was also, I guess, an issue in 69 as well. So that was one thing they wanted to sort of cut back on in 99.
Do you know what? Out of everything that we've seen about 69 Woodstock, I don't even know how tickets would have worked there.
Yeah.
Because it almost just seemed like it was like an open field and everybody just kind of like came in.
So we watched that dramatized movie.
Yeah, we did.
I can't remember what it's called, like Leaving Woodstock or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't like it, but yeah.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was good and funny at times.
They did it was funny at times, yes. I wanted it to be about music and it was about the hotel or like the family in the hotel and stuff. But they did a good job of portraying Michael Lang.
Yes. The actor did a really good job at showing who he was.
Yeah.
But that's also Kristoff from Frozen. The actor who did that is the voice for Kristoff in Frozen.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Anywho, side note. In that though, they do kind of show the field that he was always on when he first went and like tripped acid and whatnot.
Yeah.
And to me, what I got the vibe was that hill overlooked the gated area around the main Woodstock.
Okay.
So the tickets would be for that main area.
And everybody just sat on that hill.
People who wanted to go for free would just sit up on that hill and listen to the music.
So that's where you get that huge sea of people that are just... So maybe that's where the difference is because... Sorry, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but they do talk about 69 in here, how food, like people are rioting because the food was so expensive and stuff like that. And the stuff that I remember seeing about 69 Woodstock was like the free kitchens and like all that stuff. So maybe that was on the hillside and in the festival, because we don't really know that much about 69.
Yeah, no, we don't.
But like maybe in the festival was more of the disaster and stuff.
And
like
even
that.
in that dramatized movie we were watching, like as he's walking up to that hill, there were always vendors selling shit. I'm assuming super cheap. I don't know. It's 35 cents for a watermelon.
Yeah, for a whole watermelon?
I think it was a whole. I don't. Oh my gosh. I don't know. This was
a slice. 60s. I mean, still a slice of watermelon for 35 cents is a pretty good deal.
Yeah, so. I don't know, but like everybody's selling shit, giving away free shit as he's working his way up to the fest.
Yeah. Anyways, let's
get back in. What did you have next on your list?
So next I had that they showed the military base.
Yep.
And Michael has a comment of with the gates or the security or like there's built-in gates, so people wouldn't be knocking down the gates to get in, or like there would be and make sure that people had tickets and nobody would get in for free of charge.
Yeah, the military base is at Rome, New York, where the festival takes place. I always thought the base closed like the year before.
Yeah, this said 5 years.
This said 5 years before the event took place, and it was a huge hit to the town from like an economic perspective. I mean, think about it. Everybody who lived on the military base or worked for the military base in this community are now gone because that revenue source is gone.
Yeah, I think I said 6,500 jobs were lost because the base was shut down or whatever.
So like we've seen that where we grew up in like Newton, where Maytag left, and like that was the biggest economic center for people in the town. That when it left, the town didn't die like overnight, but over time it slowly has died over and over and over.
But people felt it right away. I mean, like people's houses got foreclosed and stuff because they, their income left.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, just another example here, like the major source of income in the area left. So that's why they viewed Woodstock as a good, viable means as well from like a city perspective. The mayor thought that.
Yeah. And this one, the HBO one shows how the city got into it. Like there was a bar that was called like Stock Inn or something, and they changed it to Woodstock Inn, and there was like local restaurants that were advertising for it and stuff. So the businesses in the community were also promoting it and, wanting the revenue off of all these people coming.
Yeah, the whole town was getting into it and like getting on board and like super happy for it. They also liked the military base, they being Michael and John and everybody else involved with Woodstock, putting it on and whatnot. But they liked Rome and the military base because of all the infrastructure it had as well, not just the walls where people, you had to show up with a ticket, is what like Michael was saying or something. But it had the infrastructure, they had the buildings in place, and they're like, this is going to be a perfect like place to build out a music festival. And to some extent, I kind of agree with that. Like on paper, it makes sense. You have the infrastructure in place. When you put on a festival, you try to look for that stuff. I mean, think of open air in Chicago. They used the soccer stadium out in Tinley Park.
Bridgeview.
Bridgeview, exactly. The festivals here in town use Grant Park or Douglas Park for Riot Fest and whatnot, where it has the infrastructure sort of already in place in terms of like getting people to and from the festivals. You have the parks set up, so like that's a key thing. You don't have to build things from scratch and whatnot. So I kind of see what they're talking about there.
Yeah, I understand it too. It makes sense. I just, even looking at it today, like I would not think of a place that has black tarmac in the middle of summer as a place that I'd want to have a festival.
Yeah, I mean,
like, okay, so I'm going to use open air as an example.
Yeah.
I hated being close to the pit out at the second stage at open air because it was on the cement.
Yes.
And in my mind, if I get pushed down and I scrape my knee, I'm crying.
Yes.
So I don't want that to happen. And I just felt like the second year it was really hot out in that stage, where in the bowl you're not on cement. I think they had like
they had the plastic little squares. Yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't that hot cement. I don't know.
Yeah. They also did. They also did bring in like shaded area as well. Like there was that big Headbangers Ball booth or area where you can get like
special beers,
like non-standard beers, like your IPAs and shit back then, as well as like a bunch of pinball machines and whatnot. So it was a place to like lounge out in the shade a little bit. Yeah. It was still pretty hot in there, don't get me wrong. But you had that area. Yeah. So, but they brought in more infrastructure to help support it. But like other than that, in the stadium you have running toilets and whatnot.
That's true. Yeah.
So that helps.
Yeah.
Woodstock definitely did not have that. They had the porta potties.
Yeah.
But like I'm saying, it's on paper it makes sense.
It does. Yeah. No, it does. Yeah.
The next thing I have though is they start talking about the building of the peace wall.
Yep. That's what I have too. Yeah. And then they start bringing it, like with the peace wall, like as they're talking about building that, they start bringing in concert goers in 2020 days or 2019 days probably. But like as they are older, but reminiscing of their time.
Okay, people who actually attended the festival, they're talking to them. They're just like the Netflix one. They bring actual attendees to talk to them and ask them about their experience and what they remember and whatnot. The thing here is Netflix did not focus much on the peace wall at all.
No, they didn't. Yeah.
They go more in depth talking about it, where, you know, you did have that wall surrounding the perimeter, and they didn't want to just have a wall, so they put up plywood and had children and local artists come in to draw different images of music and Woodstock themed type art.
And like different murals, so different sections of it had like different murals, and then like it didn't always go together, but like each section had their own art.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool to learn about that. It's a bit later on, but there was a quote, something about like music doesn't equal a peace wall, or a peace wall isn't the greatest bridge for what I think of like open music and an open community type thing. What that Woodstock was trying to vibe up, or the vibe of Woodstock. And I thought that was kind of funny. It's like, yeah, you're kind of not wrong. And again, other people in this documentary, as well as the Netflix one, bring up the whole fact of like, it's kind of ironic that you have Woodstock, which is all about peace, love, and music and happiness and community, on a military base. Like, those are just two opposite points of view.
Yeah.
And I think in the last episode I talked about, I kind of see the point that the promoters were making of like, music and peace and love overpowered the military, and sort of that's what survived, not the military aspect. It's kind of pulling at threads a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
I get that sort of analogy, but at the same time, it is kind of weird to be like, we're on a military base, peace, love, happiness, on a place where we kill people.
Right. The last week's episode, we talked about the cost of the ticket. They did show a ticket here, and it was $180.
$180.
I think we said $150 last time. So, and there is a concert goer, David, who's featured a lot in the documentary, and he mentioned using his graduation money to purchase his ticket. And I remember that after high school or whatever, like you open all your cards and, you know, there's $5 here, $20 here or whatever.
Yeah.
And he pooled that all together to buy a ticket.
The next thing I have, because we're still talking about people getting into the festival, is the attendees were talking about how you would go through security, and the Peace Patrol, the security group, would take all your beer and food from you.
Yeah.
However, if you had $5-10 in drugs, they would you can like bribe them off, and they'd let you take your drugs in. But the beer, water, and food, that was a big no.
Yeah. So the Netflix one, they said like you're taking, or they took everything. Like we had nothing when we got through. This one does say that the piece, it depends. I'm guessing it depends on who you went to, which we've heard that about other festivals as well. It all depends. But one guy said that like the Peace Patrol barely looked in anything, and he knew that there was gonna be drugs everywhere because like they barely looked in his bag or whatever. Yeah,
because they did say that too. They're like, they did barely looked in my bag.
Yeah, so I think it all depends on who you go through or whatever.
Yep.
To your comment about being paid off or whatever, the concert goer said like, oh yeah, for sure you could give them $20 and you know they would let you in with whatever, whatever you wanted. There is, I don't know where it is in my notes, but I know it's either John or Michael said like, oh no, we had certified
the top of the top security.
Top of the top security, sir. They had to be certified. There's no way money was going under the table.
Yeah,
and it's like bullshit.
I remember him saying that. Yeah. One of the guys they showed a video of, and this was like an actual video from '99 or whatnot, where he's basically like, yeah, I made a buddy with somebody who's a security guard, and now they're funneling all the beer and stuff to us. Yeah. So all the chairs, all of that's right here in our little tent right now. Yeah. People are then getting in, and like one comment I had, or one note I had, was they were basically saying it's hot. There's a lot of chaos going on. Nobody knows what to do or where anything is. And there were a lot of white boys, is what I had.
Yep, I had that too. And a lot of white men. Well, white boys is how she said it.
Yeah. But also just like the chaos of getting in, and how it was, I don't know, just like nobody knew where things were. Yeah. Nobody knew what to do, where to go, how, like just the disorganization of it once you get through.
Right. So neither of these documentaries talk about this, but it almost seems like people are getting in on Friday. And the show is starting on Friday.
Yes, that's the vibe I got.
You're kind of, I mean, again, we've only done one camping festival so far, but like we went the day before, you get all your shit set up, you know, like get all settled and stuff, and then the next day you go to the festival. Not everybody did that, obviously, but we did, we did that. And then one that we do this summer, we're doing the same thing. We're going a day early and doing all that stuff. So, but if you had to get there at, say, 10 a.m., get your shit all put your tent put up or your ship put down or whatever, and then you had to get to the stage by noon.
Well, I mean, and again, that just goes into each other's personal preferences.
It is, yeah.
Like,
I'm just
not
saying,
everybody goes up for the opener, but I get what you're saying.
with the chaos of
like,
everything. Like, you're trying to get in, you're trying to get to the stage, you're trying to figure out where everything is.
And if you want to be there for the openers, you're
Yeah.
going to feel rushed to try to, like, I need to get everything fucking set in and settled in
Yeah.
and whatnot. That's definitely the vibe I got too, is that, like, the getting in was the same day as the festival instead of like coming in a day early.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a change that the festivals have made since then.
Maybe.
Because I think a lot of festivals do allow you to come in a day early.
Yeah.
I think at Incarceration that we went to, people were still coming in the first day, I think.
No, I think they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm saying like we came in early.
Right, yeah. Because again, it's personal preference, what we like to do.
Yeah.
After that, the next note I have is that they start talking about what the festival is, because the Netflix one kind of glosses over this as well. They talk about the first stage and the second stage, and they talk about the hangar stage, and they briefly mention sort of the movie hangar and whatnot. But this one also called out that not only was there the rave hangar and the movie festival going on, a 24-hour movie festival, there was the emerging artist stage as well.
I wish that they would kind of hit on that a little bit more. I'm sure that it has nothing to do with the documentaries at all, but it's like when we went to Rockfest, those smaller stages that had like the local bands and then the tribute bands were our two favorite stages.
Right, yes.
And it's like, if they would hit on that a little bit more and like, who was on the stages?
Right, yeah.
Are they a big band today? Like, like something like that. But I'm sure that has nothing to do with.
No.
And I'm sure that those bands or those things probably weren't shot that much for like the MTV or shot that much for the pay-per-view. So they might not have very much footage of it.
So the other aspect they called out is the sports park. And I kind of remember watching the DVDs from the pay-per-view on YouTube. You can still find those on YouTube. And we started watching them together.
We did, for a while, You used to watch them during work.
Like, just throw it on in the background and whatnot. They're kind of cool. I enjoy watching them. But one of the things they did is they did show the sports park there. So you'd see like
what is it, like basketball? And
no, it's like BMX and skateboarders.
Oh.
So it's like
that's kind of fun.
with ramps and half pipes and whatnot.
That kind of goes with the vibe of
it does.
The bands that were there and everything.
Yeah, it really does. So the whole concept here, though, is the festival isn't just the main stages. It's a 24-hour experience where there's something to do 24 hours a day, all 3 days, which I think is really, really cool. It reminds me a little bit of The Boat to some extent, where
that's true,
there's things to do throughout the entire day that are music and not music related events, that whatever you're into, there's something there for you.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really cool concept, and I love when festivals start to incorporate other aspects that aren't just music.
Yeah, that is really interesting to do. And like when we went to Incarceration, when you got back to the campground, that was like, well, there were supposed to be bands playing all the time. The rain kind of ruined that. But I think they were supposed to go until like 2 a.m. or something. So really, it's not all night long, but you could have something to do
for a while,
for a long time.
And if it hasn't already been up, it's going to be up right now. But in this documentary as well, there's the festival map.
Which is really cool.
It is really cool to show.
It almost seems like it's like a festival map that was like out or like pinned up somewhere or something. So it's kind of cool.
So that would have been up, or we're going to throw that up there for those of you watching on YouTube. It was really cool to kind of look at that and see what was going on there. And this is where the irony of Woodstock on a military base first comes in. And that peace wall comment I made earlier, that's where I have a note for this. And then somebody made a cool comment that I liked. They're basically like, Michael Lane is the Willy Wonka of Woodstock.
I have that too.
But if you start peeling away at that sort of mystique and sort of characteristic of him, just like Willy Wonka, you start to realize how much of a shit show it is behind the scenes. And then this is where it definitely differs from the Netflix one in one aspect, is they start looking at 69 Woodstock and being like, it's not all what we think it is.
Yeah, so this is where all the comments kind of come in that aren't really known about, that I'm not aware of on Woodstock 69. Netflix doesn't go into it, and anytime you kind of hear about it, it's all like peace, love, and rock and roll. Like, like that's all it was. Well,
especially
peace, love, and drugs and rock and roll.
But I knew about this back in like high school and shit. I can't remember if I learned about it in like class when we were studying the 60s or something, but somehow I was at least aware of Woodstock and what it was in like the 60s and whatnot, or 69, 70s then. So in any case, I always had sort of the same vision they were outlining of like it was peace, love, and music, and drugs, and just hippie culture and
hippies,
whatnot.
hippies for sure.
And like it was always sort of the mystique. I knew of it, of that the alternative friend groups I was somewhat associated with. They loved Woodstock, and they had this sort of I don't know how to say it, like this great grandiose view of what Woodstock was. But then again, here in the documentary, they start talking about we only get that because we watched the Woodstock documentary that came out after.
That only showed those parts.
That only showed it and made it mythologized. And they kind of left out the fact that supplies had to be airdropped in, that people died, that there were assaults, and like all this shit that actually happened at Woodstock that was basically the same thing that happened here.
And this one mentions the riots over food, and like they were burning down food tents and
because
stuff
they were
like that.
Overcharging for food. Yeah.
So, and that's where, again, like I was saying a few minutes ago, where I always thought it was free food, and like people were, it was like a communal thing, or like a, people were just bringing stuff and sharing it with everybody, not that you had to pay for stuff.
Right.
And so that's like the difference here, where especially with the Netflix documentary, they're like, they took all our food away, and like all that stuff, and it's like, but I thought it was supposed to be like Woodstock, like communal, and like you share and like all that stuff. So
yeah, it's just interesting that, again, this is where the one area these two documentaries differentiate is, like somebody's actually calling out Woodstock 99, just Woodstock in general, being like, it's not what you think it is. All these people are like, oh my God, Woodstock was so amazing. Yeah. It's such a cultural influence, and it meant so much to so many people, and was a game changer for society as a whole. Woodstock 69 was so amazing. Really, when you look at it, it really wasn't. And you're just sort of, you're taken over by the propaganda of the Woodstock machine, I guess is how I would say that.
Yeah.
It
is all propaganda. It's what they wanted it to
marketing.
Be. Marketing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because think of how many people, I mean, even young people have Woodstock 69 shirts,
right.
or like the tie-dye with the peace symbol in it and stuff like that.
No, I mean, the peace symbol isn't a Woodstock symbol.
No, it's not. I'm saying the Woodstock 69 shirts with the peace symbol on it and stuff like that.
I see what you're saying.
I mean, I've seen people like our age wear that. So
moving along, the next comment I have, or the next note I have, is just Metallica.
Metallica, of course.
So this is the first documentary that sort of calls out that Metallica was there.
Yeah.
The other one, Kurt was in it. The Netflix one, he was in it, and he says something along the lines like, "Oh, Woodstock, peace, love, and corporate greed," or something like that. Yeah. Something along those lines.
Yeah. And you hear about Metallica through a guy's voice from a journal, and his name is Dave. He's the friend of David, who went, that I mentioned a few minutes ago as well. And so he kept a journal of every day about like what he was doing, what he was excited about, and everything. Kind of reminded me of you on the boat. You like to do that, like you like to have your little journal.
I really liked these parts where they threw the journal up there and they showed him writing it out with the voiceover.
Yeah. Now, granted, I don't know if that's really his handwriting.
It could be.
It was cool.
It looks like a handwritten. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I also took a note of that. I also noted in his entries every time, he kept track of how many boops he saw. Yeah. I can't remember what the count was. It was like 11 or 12 at the time of this first entry. I just thought that was funny. Yeah, mostly because of the next comment he makes.
The boob count's too high?
Just like it's too high to count. It's kind of old by now.
Yeah.
The next thing I have, though, is that they talk about sort of what it was like at Woodstock without having a phone.
Yes. And like how you would find people.
They had like the lost and found of like people.
Yeah, like I put find the people wall.
Yeah.
Where it's like people would write little notes and pin them up so that like they can try to find their friends and stuff.
And I guess sort of on the boat, we don't really have cell phones either.
No, we don't. No.
So it's more of like
So when I can't find you in the middle of the night and I had to walk around the boat, and
I'm probably going to be in the casino drinking and
I went through
the
casino twice.
Well, you didn't see me there. Any case, it's kind of like that. It's like you have to have a plan. Like here's where we're going to meet up. Yeah. Even when we have cell phones at festivals, they don't always work.
They don't, no, because the signal gets
So you and I always have sort of a plan of like, all right, in the case of we get separating, we'll meet here type thing.
Yeah, especially in the rave too. Like here shortly, we're going to go to Milwaukee Metal Fest, and phones don't work very well in the rave. So it's like, I'm going to watch this band. I'll meet you outside.
Or I'll be up in the main stage.
Yeah.
Come find me when you're there or something.
Yeah. So, but to think about going in 99 and they don't have cell phones, or they were very far and few between. And if people did have cell phones, they were like those really big ones, and out in the middle of nowhere. I'm pretty sure there was no signal back then.
Yeah.
So to think about, like you might not see you might see your friends in the morning and then you don't see them again until the tent.
Way too late.
Yeah, because it's like it's huge. I think it was like a mile between the stages and shit. So like it was a very big area for people to kind of,
it was very massive
hang out and like, I mean, if you're in the crowd, like you're not gonna get through to try to find your friends.
Yeah, so. It's an interesting time. I kind of honestly miss that constant communication and whatnot. But they do call that out. They did have a bank of cell phones. The last documentary talked about that more, I think, than this one did. But I thought that was kind of...
A bank of cell phones? Oh, payphones.
Sorry, payphones. Payphone bank.
Which was more like for people to call their parents.
Yeah, it was.
Whatever. Yeah.
What's the next thing you have?
The next thing I have is... the Backstreet Boys on the stage where Offspring, I think, comes and
it's the Offspring, and it's sort of a joke of like, ladies and gentlemen, the Backstreet Boys, and it's just sort of mannequins with their faces on
with
it,
like a Backstreet Boys face or whatever.
And they come out with like a wiffle ball baseball bats and like beat the shit out of the mannequins. And then the Offspring starts their set.
And then they talk about how MTV at the time. This one was really against MTV, like that it was MTV's fault for everything.
This is interesting. We'll talk about that at the end because it's the blame sort of gets put all over the place.
Except for where it should be.
Not a little bit on the promoters, but kind of sort of not on the promoters at all.
But talking about how MTV was going towards the teen pop era, with like the 98 Degrees, Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, probably more bands that I'm not thinking, or more performers I'm not thinking about, and away from like the music videos and the like Headbangers Ball and stuff like that. That was like more music that was wanted, or not wanted. I shouldn't say that, but like the people liked or enjoyed. I don't know how I'm saying this. It's more like going to the teen pop, where like the people that went to this show are older and grew up with a different MTV.
They definitely talked about how the generational gap or the age gap or the average age of the viewer of MTV dropped like 5 years overnight. And there was like one comment around the lines of, MTV went from my MTV to my sister's MTV.
My little sisters,
who liked the teen pop and whatnot.
I don't know who made this comment, but it says, and out of that came rap infested aggressive rock music.
I saw that too, sort of like the response, or they were talking about this sort of how it went to teen pop and whatnot, and sort of the response from that music was a different type of music, which was that rap infested aggressive rock music.
And then in parentheses I said nu metal. Like, is that what you're trying to say?
I think that's what it was, because they would show Limp Bizkit and Kid Rock and Korn. Were like the three that they showed for that. Which all three played at the festival.
And then there was the time. So back to the MTV thing. They really showed like how people were taking their anger out on MTV and like throwing shit at like Carson Daly, and they had like a little set up near the stage and showing like them throwing shit at them.
And they even said like as soon as we showed up, we being MTV, we were hated instantly. And because of the TRL, because of this sort of shifting the focus from the music I like to this teen pop shit and shoving that teen pop shit down my throat. And I mean, kind of thinking about it, looking back, I kind of sort of do remember that. But at the same time, it was also very weird. And they call this out too, I think, in this documentary, that TRL was this weird sort of amalgamation of music where you would get that like Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, but you'd also get Korn. You would get Limp Bizkit. You would get rap songs, all in TRL. So you'd like start the countdown, and Korn was like number one for a while. Limp Bizkit was number one for a while.
Yeah, they were like on their little countdown thing, or like their it is Total Request Live or whatever. I just remember seeing the girls, like the young girls, and they would all like scream and everything. Like, I
mean, it's weird because I kind of hated TRL because it was that sort of teen pop. That's where a lot of the teen pop shit that I watched or that I saw come up from. But at the same time, it was a weird sort of melting, and they call that out, like I said, in the documentary. But I never associated it with that, honestly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true. Like, I remember, we didn't watch very much of it. It would always be during the summer at my aunt's house. But, like, I remember, like, they would advertise, like, oh, this band's going to be performing. Like, I think I mentioned last week, like, Outkast would perform or something. And it would be, like, So all week we'd be like, okay, Friday, we need to turn on the TV at this time to watch Outkast perform or whatever. So I don't know. Like, I guess I didn't watch it enough to know about all the stuff prior to that era.
Yeah,
I guess.
But at the same time, stuff like Megadeth wasn't on there. Metallica wasn't going to be on there.
Oh yeah, for sure not.
Slipknot definitely wasn't going to be on there. Maybe I stopped watching honestly before
I like
Linkin Park.
I wonder if they were.
I was not watching it by that time, so I don't know if they were or not.
I think here with them bringing up MTV and like the changing of the music and like the aggressive rap new metal stuff that they were talking about is where the documentary kind of it goes into the blame on the music, in my opinion. Because it seems like a lot of comments from that point on is about the bands that were performing.
Yeah, and it's not just the music. There's a lot of comments around just society as a whole in the 90s, talking about like the movies and the violence in the movies and the sexualization in the movies. At some point, it's probably going to come up here shortly. They talk about like Girls Gone Wild and the music as a whole being more aggressive. And a lot of like the comments in this documentary are pointed more towards the people in that particular point in society and like the white men having this sense of privilege and anger for whatever reason. But yeah, a lot of it, like bringing MTV in, definitely is one of those focuses to point it more towards the music was aggressive and that's why the crowd was aggressive type thing.
Yeah. Well, and not just MTV, say like it was the promoters. I have the next note as Moby mentioned in it, and like all the people that were talking around this time was just about the aggressive music, like over the next few minutes. Yeah,
and Moby, this is where Moby first comes in, and I fucking hate this pretentious piece of fucking shit so much after watching this. Like, fucking hell, this guy's such a piece of fucking shit and so pretentious. Like, they show a video, like an actual video of him on his tour bus coming into the festival, and he's bitching about his name not being on the board with all the other artists.
Like the welcome board.
Yeah, it's like, here's all the artists, and they start showing videos of that, and basically the band would be on there, and after the band would play or something, they'd go and sign by their name. And he's bitching that his band or his name's not up on that board. Why the fuck isn't his name up there?
And he says, oh, sorry.
Oh, the next thing he says is like, and who the fuck are half of these artists? I don't know.
Who knows? Who has even heard of these bands?
And they start going around to show like all of them. Yeah. And they focus heavily in on like Seven Dust.
Yeah.
And then start moving their way up. Yeah. And it's like, fuck you, you pretentious fucking prick. Like, what the fuck?
Right. And it's how he says, like, who's even heard of any of these bands? It's just like, just because you haven't heard of them doesn't mean that they're not good band or like good performers.
But like even before all of this as well, I think it was before all this, but he starts talking about his love of Woodstock and like how he watched the movies and how, oh my God, this was so influential and so defining for this generation and for this like movement and for just this way of living through peace and love and harmony. And again, that thing we were talking about, he watched the documentary and fell for the marketing, fell for the propaganda of what Woodstock 69 was.
And he loved it so much that he wanted to be part of 99.
Oh, like this guy.
Give that back to society of like the peace, love, and
such a fucking pretentious prick. Fuck this motherfucker. Oh, I hate him so much. And he has a lot of comments throughout. And it's just, every time he comes on, it's just like, I want to fucking kick you in your goddamn teeth. Like, fuck you.
Who do you hate more, Moby or John?
John for sure, but Moby's
second on the list.
Then maybe Michael Lang. Like, fuck Moby. Fuck that piece of fucking shit.
So Michael Lang, to me, I don't hate him by any means. Like, he didn't do anything that like I hated. It's just more he was clueless. He has his blinders on of what he wants to see and what he wants to put out.
Yeah, I mean, even when he's looking back, that's still the same. Like, even looking back at like 69, he's still like, all is perfect. And he same thing. He's drinking his own Kool-Aid, basically.
Yep.
I can see that now.
Yeah.
He seems clueless. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's not like he doesn't say anything in either of the documentaries, or I mean, maybe he has in life somewhere, but like in these two documentaries that we've watched, that makes me absolutely hate him, like John did or Moby does. But it's like he's just like, it was perfect. I mean, there was some bad apples.
Yeah. Moving along, the next thing I had was that DMX takes the stage. And then there's sort of a call and response moment in the stage, and the guy talking is like it's a very traditional not southern, but a traditional black church thing that the preachers do, where it's call and response. It's a really standard thing, and a part of me is like, maybe, but it's also a very standard thing in fucking music.
Right. I kind of thought, I was like, I want to kind of look into the history of that. Like, did it come from the black churches doing it? And then, like, I mean, I know for sure white people have taken over black music, black traditions, everything like that, and made them their own.
I mean, rock and roll is black music. Like, that's where it started. Like, Elvis stole all of his music from black artists.
Yes.
And, like, you can make an argument, or I've heard the argument made that, like, well, Elvis was therefore promoting their music and their culture because he was putting it on, you know, so people would be more acceptable because it was a white man singing it. So, I mean, that argument might have like a 5% merit to it.
Don't have rich estates right now because they weren't performing their own music.
Right.
So anyways, I don't want this to turn into that type of conversation, but if it is something that came out of black traditions, like, it's an amazing thing. It's fun at concerts to do. But for the person talking, which I never got his name.
Okay. I didn't write it down.
But because even at the end, I'm like, who is this? Like, I don't know.
I think he's just a music journalist.
Okay. There's a lot of music journalists in this one. So, but yeah, with that call response thing, I had that wrote down as well, which turns into
he's singing one of his songs, and part of it is like saying the N-word. Yeah.
And it's like all these white guys saying the N-word back to you.
This journalist does call that out, where he's like, and he's a black journalist as well. He's like, in the 90s, you didn't have that happening where you had a black artist have such a huge, predominantly white crowd that they're singing to doing this. And then he's talking about how, you know, they were eager to chant back at him the N-word, and they would give it back to him at much higher intensity than he put out to them. And like watching them, like, I don't necessarily agree with your statements here, bud.
I don't either. So I did dabble in some rap back in the day. I feel like I remember this song. And then there was like the 50 Cent songs and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure some of those songs had the N-word in them. And I remember being on the bus. We're all white kids and we're all singing them.
Right.
So I'm not saying like it's okay, but when it's in this context, I don't see that. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
The other thing, I mean, I don't know either.
Yeah.
Because I mean, thinking back earlier in my life, there were times where I would have conversations with my friends around the N-word, like, should you say it, should you not say it? And my point of view was always, it's not the word itself, the intent in which you're saying it.
I agree with that.
Where if there's intent behind it to bring malice or harm to someone, that's wrong. But if you just say it with no intent behind it whatsoever, that's not as harmful.
Like singing a song?
Right, like singing a song. I have since changed my mind.
Yes,
I realized saying the word in and of itself, regardless of your intent, does have a negative impact on people, and therefore why say it? Why bother saying it if simply by saying it can cause someone harm? Just don't do it.
Yeah, I would agree there.
Like that's the same thing for me with what are the pronouns? Like he, she, somebody says they want to be called a he instead of a she, or vice versa. I don't give a fuck. Right. If it makes you happy to do that, it costs me nothing to do that.
Exactly.
So doesn't matter if I agree or disagree with what your stance is. I'm not going to intentionally try to inflict harm on you simply by saying a wrong word. So I will try to be aware of it. Now, again, that's how I have changed. And societies as a whole change.
I would agree
what was acceptable.
I would agree with that too.
5, 10, 15 years ago.
Especially back in 99, which, gosh, is what, 30?
Yeah.
Almost 30 years ago now. Like, yeah, I mean, society's changed, and I feel like people have grown and learned from that time period.
So singing this song in the 90s, I don't feel like you can look at it from a lens of
from 2021.
2020, 2021, whenever this was recorded, and be like, I can't believe they were doing that. But like, society has changed so much since then.
Yeah.
For the better, obviously.
Yeah. Well,
there's some things like that are going to come up, like rape, that is timeless in terms of not good. Like, that doesn't change over time. Like, that's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
So like,
I don't think society is very good right now, but we're not going to talk
right.
about
No,
that.
but that's all I'm trying to say is like his comments around this
Yeah.
always sort of bug me a little bit when he says them.
Yeah.
I get what he's trying to say, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't fully agree with that sentiment that you're trying to say. And again, this goes back to, I feel like, blaming the crowd and blaming the energy and the anger and the angst in the crowd of just being like, this is the type of crowd that this music brings with it. Why is that the case? And like, it's kind of an attack against the music almost.
I get that. Also with DMX being there, I almost got some of his comments being, or not DMX's comments, but the comments from the journalist guy, that it was almost like, why would you have him there?
So, I mean, that's a good point. That should, I mean, this is going to come up at some point. Looking at the lineup and the artists they show, I honestly feel like this lineup is a very diverse lineup.
I would agree.
You have super heavy shit. You have some mellow shit. You have R&B. You have rap.
Yes.
You have old school shit.
It's very much melding all the music tastes together.
Yeah.
Into one concert, which you really don't see that much. Maybe like Lollapalooza or a Riot Fest or something like that.
To some extent, yeah.
In a very small way, but not like this. Not where you're going to have... I mean, who was the first person? James Brown open up, this old black guy.
You also have Willie Nelson.
Yes.
Metallica, Megadeth, Rage Against the Machine.
Sheryl Crow.
Alanis Morissette. Jewel. Yeah. Run the Jewel, I think, was there. DMX.
Yeah.
Like
Live or
Bush,
somebody was
Live.
there. Yeah. Like those are so totally different. Like
Creed.
Yeah, like, and Roots was there. Like, just so many different types of music that is coming all together. So for him to make this comment about all these white guys singing this song, it's almost like, and it was popular at the time. I mean, everybody, I mean, I shouldn't say that. I knew of DMX, so I'm pretty sure other people knew about DMX, but I don't know. Anyways.
Moving along, I guess, the next thing, again, the Girls Gone Wild is starting to be talked about here.
Yeah. Like the society of the 90s is being brought into the documentary.
The over-sexualization of women and how, like, Girls Gone Wild just... I think the journalist here, she was saying, like, it was sort of a way of putting women back in their place, put them back in their box, you're an object type thing. Which, when she's saying this again, I sort of have a little bit of hesitation as well. It's like, you're not necessarily wrong, but at the same time... This isn't just a 90s issue. Look at the 80s. Like, it was worse in the 80s. So I feel it was worse in the 80s. Talking or hearing people talk about the 80s, seeing movies on the 80s. The difference is you don't have cable TV with selling pornography directly to users up through the TV. You brought this up. We had a little conversation about this, and you were asking, well, what's different now with like Pornhub? OnlyFans and blah, blah, blah.
They talk about like that. Yes. So I did bring that up because they would talk about the Girls Gone Wild and stuff. And it made me think, I was like, just because you're not out hustling these DVDs anymore, like you have, like the Pornhub, the, what's it called? OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Or you even have just on Instagram or Facebook, like women who are dressed, but not really dressed and showing themselves in a way that if you're a young teenage person or anybody seeing it, it's like it's suggestive enough that you know what they're trying to do.
Definitely like the changing or the moving of pornography through different means and different avenues, like as technology grows.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say is like it's still there. It's just now internet based and not somebody selling a DVD to you.
So I mean, it's probably still a problem. I don't know, but like I don't know when she's just bringing that up, and again, it's a lot of. It feels like a lot of the commentary on this is directed more towards other societal issues or other societal things going on, and also the music that is sort of what caused this all to happen. It's sort of the vibe I get from this.
During this time, Michael also blames, but Michael hates MTV, that's for sure. But he blames
John hates MTV.
Well, probably, but Michael says this as well.
Does he? I don't.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
I have that Michael blames MTV Spring Break for the way that people are being disrespectful during his festival.
Yeah. Somebody, I can't remember if it was Michael, but that definitely came up of like sort of the spring break culture.
Yeah.
That was definitely a point that was made. the other point that was made, they were talking about sort of the pay-per-view a little bit. I can't remember if they brought that up earlier, but they were saying like the cameramen were going out and intentionally seeking out the nudity of it. They brought up a local radio station, 103.3 The Edge.
The Edge.
I remember that because 103.3 Laser, where we grew up.
They're all like The Hog, The Edge. Laser's not the same. Like Laser's just Laser.
But they brought in a trailer and they had women up on there and they were like giving away T-shirts or shit for doing the Girls Gone Wild shit. And that was just sort of more talking about, again, the atmosphere in the grounds being definitely predatorial toward women.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Then you have Jonathan Davis come with a wise mind. I'm obviously going to be biased here because the times that they interview the more metalheads or something like that, their thought process is totally different than a lot of the other people.
I mean, it also aligns with ours, we are biased that way. Biased.
But Jonathan Davis comes in and he says that the Girls Gone Wild, like the Girls Gone Wild culture that was happening in the 90s was not an excuse for any of the guys to touch the women as they're crowd surfing or as they're in the pit or, you know, sitting on shoulders and stuff like that. Like, it's not seeing Girls Gone Wild is not causing these guys to think that it's okay, or like isn't an excuse for the guys to act the way that they did. Sorry.
He also basically said, like, as a performer, you do not want to see that.
Right.
He's like, I will get in trouble. I will face the legal. I can't remember if he said I'll face the legal charges or whatnot, but I will stand on stage and I will point you out if I see you doing it, and I will tell the crowd to beat the fucking shit out of you if I see that.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Offspring on stage.
Yep.
Where they're like, hey, yeah, we're all having fun. I see a bunch of women who are naked or have their tops off, coming over, crowd surfing, sitting on shoulders and whatnot. I just want to let you know, it's not cool for a guy to molest them as they're coming over, to grope them and do whatever. So, guys, if you see a chick coming over with their tits out, give them a break. Just fucking help them get over the barricade. Don't fucking grope them. And ladies, if you see a guy coming over the crowd, grab his fucking dick and twist it off or something along those lines.
Grab his balls and twist them or something like that. Yeah.
And again, it was a great editing from Jonathan Davis going, I will fucking tell the crowd to beat the shit out of those motherfuckers, to Offspring doing exactly that, basically.
Like during their set,
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool.
So now we get into the little controversy thing that I looked up that I'm like, why the fuck are they even showing this? In Netflix, they mention this as well, but that Fight Club is one of the reasons why the violence and the, you know, like how guys are acting the way they are and stuff because of the violent movies like Fight Club were coming out. This festival happened in July 1999. Fight Club did not come out until October 15th, 1999.
Fight Club, the movie.
You cannot use that movie as an example for why people were acting the way they were. It's going to bug me now every single time we watch this because I'm going to be like, nope, you can't use that because that movie wasn't out.
Counter, the book that the movie is based off of came out before that.
How many of those guys do you think were reading a book?
See, now you're just like the journalists here being like, these troglodytes do not read.
You did use that word.
Moby called them troglodytes.
Did Moby do that?
Yeah, Moby did. Again, another reason, fuck Moby.
Yes. No, I'm just saying, like, I did not. I looked it up while we were watching this.
Yes.
I was like, when did this actually come out? Because I was like, because every time on the screen it says 1999 next to it. So I'm thinking that both editors are just putting one and one together. Like, oh, this came out in 99, this came out in 99. Nobody's going to look up the time.
I mean, yes, there was always at the end of the 90s as well. I do remember there being a huge pushback against violence in media as a whole, not just like in video games and movies. And
is the 90s when they started rating everything?
80s, I think.
Oh, 80s were? Okay.
Late 80s. Tipper Gore, I think, did that. Dean Snyder went and tried to defend art and music. Which was really, that's a great interview.
There are times that I remember.
Or not interview, Senate hearing or whatever, fuck, I don't know.
Yeah, like dissertation? Not dissertation, that's like a writing on paper.
Yeah.
I know what you're trying to say. I do remember like going to Walmart and like I couldn't buy an Eminem CD because it had like the mature or whatever.
See that
No, I wanted it, and I remember this now. I wanted that CD. I went with my dad to go get it. They said they didn't have it because it was rated M or whatever. And then my dad was like, well, if it's rated M, you don't need it, blah, 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 blah,
Walmart
blah.
for the longest time, I don't know if they still do, but they wouldn't sell parental advisory albums. If it had the parental advisory on it, they wouldn't sell it.
Yeah, so it's probably the M&M. That's
so
probably what it was.
anything that they did sell was edited.
Yeah.
So there were a few CDs, like I think a Limp Bizkit one I bought was an edited version.
An edited one?
And I really hated it. I didn't know that. And when I got home and listened to it, I was like, this is what the fuck is this shit? It was not good. Any hoodles, back to our regular program. The next thing I have is another entry from Dave.
Okay, I didn't write anything down about that. So what was his entry?
Just that he's got to do some R&R and whatnot. And again, he's trying to keep track of the boobs, but honestly, there's way too many of them. It's kind of getting old at this point. And I think we've had this conversation one of the times we watched this in the past of like, I kind of like that comment in here and the idea of just seeing women with their tits out over and over and over and over, that it sort of doesn't necessarily desensitize you, but you stop to view tits as just a sexual thing. And it's just sort of a thing, which I think is sort of like the whole free the nipple movement and whatnot. It's like, why are women's nipples
different,
sexualized while men's aren't?
Right.
So I just love this comment in here being like, I've seen so much nudity now. It doesn't bother me anymore. It doesn't register with me anymore. Basically, is how I took this comment.
Or it's also a way of saying like he's kind of sick of it. Like not sick of it, but just kind of like, I don't need to see it. Like you don't need to do that.
You don't. Another way to do it. Like it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. Like. Whatever, this isn't doing anything for me. I don't care one way or the other.
Because he does make a comment about all naked people, not just women's boobs, but he makes
that's true.
comments in his journal about that too. So
the next comment I have, or the next note I have, is again from one of the journalists.
Yeah, I think her name's Maureen, the lady with the blonde hair.
I think so. Yeah,
Maureen is her name.
Yeah, she said something along the lines of a manufactured nostalgia for Woodstock '99, and then she starts talking about all the callbacks that happened throughout all the sets, and like the FUCK chant, bringing people back from the original Woodstock to play, like Creed did that later on as well, and just being like,
and they burnt like a guitar on the stage
for Jimi Hendrix.
Stuff. Yeah, so like things happened that they purposely put into their performances. Yeah, or like the bands would put in, or like little callbacks and stuff.
And the journalists, as well as a few attendees, were even saying like, I didn't get that reference. It didn't make any sense to me. It didn't mean anything to me. If you ask Moby, he would have got all of them. And he would have thought they were the greatest things fucking ever. Fuck Moby. If you don't take anything away from this, or if you take one thing away, it's Moby's a fucking piece of shit. The next one I have, though, is Korn.
Yeah, where Jonathan comes out and says that he knew everybody there was not a Korn fan and didn't know about Korn. But he was going to sell Korn to them and make sure everybody knew Korn when he left.
Yeah, I took that same note and I was like, that to me is the mark of a great performer, of being like, they're not our fans, but this is our time to win them over. I'm going to give it my all to try to win them over. And the way both documentaries talk, everybody was there to see Korn. Everybody was only here to see Korn. Korn was the thing everybody wanted to see too.
Korn and Limp Bizkit were the only two bands that performed the entire weekend that people wanted to see.
And they go around, they find people like, who are you here to see? Korn. Who are you here to see? Korn. And so the narrative the documentaries give is, no, everybody knew who Korn was. Korn was why they were there. But then to hear it from Jonathan Davis, like, I knew they weren't my fans. Not all of them were my fans, so I have to win them over. Like, it's just a different take that you don't get if you don't hit his part in there.
Yeah. Or if you don't think about it, of what he's said.
Yeah.
Like, if you only look at it on how the crowd's performing during Korn's set, and like how the documentaries kind of portray it as everybody is there to see Korn.
Yeah. So I tend to agree with Jonathan Davis's point of view of they were not all here just to see Korn.
Yeah.
Some of them were only there to see, I'll check them out, but I don't care about them. I want to see Bush. That's next.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So those people probably were in the minority. There probably were more people there for Korn than not. But it's two different points of view.
Right. I like what he said from a festival perspective overall.
Just a performer perspective.
Yeah. Well, yes. A performer too. Like openers, everybody's perspective. Now, if you're a headliner, that's a little different because people are possibly there just to see you. Possibly.
Sure, but
we
also
go to a lot of shows that we don't know.
Right, but at the same time, I don't want a headliner to be like, well, they're here to see me. I'm just going to phone it in.
No, I would agree there too. But especially from a festival perspective, and we've been to festivals where bands are just shitty ass as they can be.
Yeah.
Because people aren't doing what they want to do, or they didn't get the spot that they wanted on the bill, or whatever the case is.
And also not festivals, just shows in general.
Shows in general too. Yeah. But from that perspective of not everybody's here to see me, I need to sell us to them.
Yeah.
I think is a great mindset to have across the board
for any performer.
Performer.
Agreed.
Yeah.
The next note I have, also during Korn, they talked to one of the attendees about how he started getting like hypothermia. I was like, my temperature dropped. I was so cold. And it's like, it's weird. I shouldn't be cold.
Because it's 100 degrees.
It's 100 degrees out. Why am I so cold? He ended up having hypothermia as the issue he was going through. After that, they go to an EMT who, I liked his quote. Basically, I'm going to paraphrase this. Woodstock 99 was the worst disaster he ever went to. Because he was talking about Katrina.
Yeah, he did like a whole bunch of actual disasters.
Yeah.
And
the first time, the reason I put that down, the reason I liked it is, to me when he said it, I was thinking like, oh, it's the only disaster I went to in terms of, I went to not expecting a disaster versus I went in response of a disaster.
Oh, that's a good way to put that.
That's how I had it. The more I think about it, like probably isn't what he was saying. It was probably like, it was out of all the disasters I've been to, Woodstock 99 was the worst.
Yeah. I had a note that 90% of the medical cases were heat related due to the lack of water.
Yeah, we might throw a screenshot of this up because I have a breakdown of it where it's like 60, 20, and 10. And they were all environmental related and lack water related.
Yeah. There was 1% other at the bottom of that list, I think. And I just wonder what that is. Like, what would other be?
I can't remember. Oh, other. It's probably just a catch-all for everything else.
For everything else.
Yeah, that wasn't listed there.
I needed a Band-Aid.
Yeah, it could be.
Oh, this is where they mentioned the if you gave them $20, they would like the bribes to keep your shit instead of having them take it all away. So.
And then that's also where John Sear came in, and he's like, security was hard to get. It was so hard. We had to train everybody up. It was really hard to get security.
And then it goes into that security was literally a 3-hour class.
Yes.
That the instructor gave the answers to the test.
He went over, like the last hour of the class was going over the test question by question, giving the answers.
Yep.
I have been in classes that have done that.
Oh, really?
For like
food safe,
like colleges and stuff like that.
Food safe. I feel like
did they do that?
Yeah, like what's that called?
Swift serve, something like that.
Whatever we had to do at Burger King.
Yeah.
Oh, and then John mentions that the most trusted security guys were at the gates.
We talked about that up front as well.
Yeah, and so that's where he said the whole like that there was no money going under the table sort of thing, and also they mentioned that there was free water everywhere.
So I did watch a YouTube video of a guy who said he went to Woodstock 99. He had his stubs and photos and all that kind of shit. He did say by the camps there was water available in the campgrounds that was clean and sanitary, but you had to go back to the campgrounds to get it and whatnot. The water out by maybe by the porta potties and by the stages, maybe that's what was sort of contaminated. But this guy on YouTube that I watched a few years ago, I can't remember what it was, but he basically said there was free water available at other places. So I possibly that's true. But they do talk about the showers and how disgusting and potentially dangerous they were.
Yeah. So the showers were basically communal showers, one for men, one for women, but it was just a tarp.
Yeah.
That was put up. And so men were ripping down the tarp or moving the tarp so they could see the women showering and stuff like that. I have to be honest, because this is like one of the only things that we watched about camping festivals. So when we went to Incarceration, I was like, what's the shower situation going to be like? Because I don't want to shower with other people.
At Incarceration, they did have like proper facilities.
Yeah, because it's at a fairgrounds where they have like bathrooms and showers.
They had a men's and a women's. I will say standing in line, or I forgot my towel or something, so I went back in later on to go get it, like 10 minutes later. A man and his wife did come through the men's shower to shower
together.
I don't know if they were showering together or separate. They were already in the stall and whatnot when I went to get my towel. It may have been just that the men's line was shorter.
Oh, maybe.
Because the men's lines typically were shorter. Not always, but sometimes they were. So at which point, like, you're in individual stalls with tarps.
You are. Like there's like the curtain thing goes across.
Does it really matter if it's men and women together?
No,
like,
no. Especially, I don't know.
possibly for safety reasons, especially here at Woodstock 99.
Yeah.
The vibe at incarceration definitely was not this same vibe.
No. John makes another dumbass comment here.
Oh, yeah?
Where he says, you're going to a festival, bring money.
Oh, yeah.
When all through both documentaries, they talk about the people that were here were young adults or teenagers, young adults that, I mean, even one lady said, like, I was working at a pizza place and like I had to save all my money to come. And then I get there and everything's so expensive. We talked about the prices on the Netflix one.
Yeah, I think we did the calculation,
Yeah.
and $4 in 1999 was $7.90 in today's money in 2026. And we've been to venues where they charge $8, $9 for a water.
Yep.
And I'm just like, I'm not as shocked or taken aback by the price of water now that I looked that up, because I mean, if you're shocked about it in 1999, where is the outrage today?
Yeah.
Which there is no outrage or
Yeah.
uproar today about the pricing, and I think there should be.
And we mentioned that in last week's episode, we mentioned like Coachella, where people were spending like $20-some
Yeah.
on tacos and shit like that. Like prices are so high at these festivals, and nobody does any. I mean,
I think we were at incarceration. It was like $20 for whatever meal we got last year.
yeah,
or
we
something
ended up
like that.
we ended up starting to buy those full pizzas for $20 or
Yeah.
something, because it was so expensive.
But it's like so outrageously expensive. And all I'm trying to say is, if people are outraged about $4 water then, why the fuck are we not outraged now?
now, yeah.
And it shouldn't be that expensive. I don't think it should be that expensive. But if there's not the uproar now, we like this anger that people are having back then, I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I don't understand it.
I don't. Yeah. But for John to make that comment about like,
Yeah.
just bring money. Like, not everybody has money to bring.
No, agreed.
So,
100% agreed.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be just for the rich, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And especially thinking that the tickets were $180, which we've been to festivals where the ticket's $180, maybe $200 or something for a weekend. So like that price is almost comparable to what we pay today.
I would assume so, yeah. I don't know what that price is. $4 for $8.
Well, it'd be like
so it'd be
$400.
$8 for
Because if it's
16.
if it's 180, double that, so it'd be $360 for the weekend. Because you're basically doubling.
Yeah. Okay.
But what I'm saying,
right.
what I'm saying is, we've been to festivals today, that are like $180 for the entire weekend.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe like $250.
And did
the
that
whole weekend.
price include camping as well?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. The next comment I have is, this is where like mud comes in.
Oh, yeah.
Which like is not really mud. It's human waste.
Oh, it's gross.
And water.
And people are like swimming in it, basically.
Yeah. Mud, though, to me, feels like the underlining connection between all the Woodstocks.
That's true.
Every
I
Woodstock,
didn't
there
think about
is
that.
sort of, the first one there was the rain and like the mud hills where people were sliding down and throwing mud and just hanging out in the mud. Same thing happened in 94. So it kind of felt like mud is sort of a cornerstone or an image of Woodstock as a whole. Let's get muddy and just have a good time with music.
Maybe
and
that's what
whatnot.
they were doing.
Yeah,
It's
so that's sort of the
There's
thought.
the nostalgia part of it that they wanted.
So I kind of, that's the vibe I got when I was watching this. But then to know that it's human waste is like, oh, that's so disgusting.
Because it was like porta potty water mixed with
they
the mud.
show a woman covered head to toe. And the thing that stands out to me is how white her teeth are.
Oh, ew.
And just this muddy mess. And I'm like,
I thought about like, how did they wash that off?
oh, and it was thick. Oh, so disgusting.
Let's move on.
All right, move on. The next thing though I have is Saturday after that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. Why don't you start off then?
I just have that it opens with the PAC's not-for-profit stand that's handing out petitions for anti-gun violence. They wanted, so they don't really go into this here, but on Netflix, they really talk about it quite a lot, where it's like they wanted the theme where like 69 was like against the Vietnam War. They wanted this theme to be against gun violence. Columbine had happened, I think it said 3 months before.
3 months before.
So they really wanted like this one to be against gun violence. And so this not-for-profit stand that was put on by PACS was like handing out petitions against anti-guns.
Violence,
And then they mentioned here that they were the ones that handed out the candles.
Right.
That
which
will
is
come up later.
another differentiator, because the Netflix documentary kind of made it seem like the whole candle vigil thing was was put on by the promoters.
Yes.
Where here it's made to seem like it was put on by this nonprofit group.
Yeah.
So it's two differentiating sorts of narratives to where the candles came from.
And maybe they worked together on it, and it's just like how it kind of came about.
It very well could be the PAX worked with the organizers to hand out candles, but then in the Netflix documentary, the promoters took responsibility for it, which kind of shocking they did, because the candles are what led to all the fires and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know. After that, they talk about Kid Rock taking the stage. And Dave again has another comment of like, Kid Rock was fucking awesome. He played every single instrument, every single song. I'm going to buy that album.
Oh, right. Yeah, he said that. Yeah. I wonder what Dave would think about Kid Rock today.
Yeah, I don't know. He does also have other thoughts about other bands.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they all were or what the bands were, but there was one band he's like, I know why they do good. They bring all of Canada with them. And it's just a sea of like Canadian flags flying around.
Like one band, he's like, I don't need to say anything about them.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So
if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything.
Yeah, like my mother told me, it's kind of like, we've been to festivals like that where it's just like, they weren't for me. Like, we'll move on to the next show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But this is where I think with Kid Rock, where the comment of the DJ on the stage or in the band sort of became a trope of nu metal, sort of speak. Like there was enough for him to do for just the one wicca wicca, to make a full member out of that person. And I don't know, Slipknot has a DJ, so
yeah, there's people who stand on stages and go wicca wicca, and people show up to just see them do that.
Moby's an EDM artist. He does shit like
Is
that.
That's why he's a fucking dick.
No, it's not why he's a dick, but he's a dick for sure.
I have a comment here that was made during that time that nu metal was white people impersonating black people and the swamp. And it became a swamp.
It became a swamp. Yeah, I had that same comment.
Like, I don't know who's. I'm sure.
I think it was again that black journalist as well.
He must not like metal music at all.
But then Moby also tacks onto that as well. It's like nu metal embraced the troglodytes elements, basically also commenting around when white people embrace like hip hop and black music and black culture as a whole, they ignore like the funk and the soul.
And they support homophobia and misogyny.
Yeah, and they embrace the homophobic and misogynistic elements of those things. And it's like,
that is such a dick thing to say.
Fuck you. Like, I get he's saying that probably about like Limp Bizkit more than any other ones, maybe. But at the same time, like...
But he doesn't even know any of the nu metal bands that were on the thing. So how does he know what nu metal is?
Yeah, I know, exactly. Like, it was his way of just like talking about nu metal, embracing... it's another reason why I fucking hate Moby is that comment alone. Like, fuck this guy. But then he as well as some of the other journalists start talking about grunge music in the early 90s and how it was progressive and embraced sort of women's rights and gay rights and a bunch of other different elements of society, you know, trying to improve society and whatnot. And it was a quick-lived movement. It didn't last long.
Yeah, it didn't.
Grunge was not a very long-standing thing.
So when they talk about, all these comments come about nu metal and Moby's comments, and then they do talk about the grunge and everything, during those scenes, they're showing shots of like small club shows, and it was mosh pits and showing how violent they are, like people pushing and stuff like that. But if you go to these shows, you know that they're not violent.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be violent, but most of the time it's everybody just getting their aggression out in the pit, and then you go to the side or whatever.
Yep.
We've talked about it so many times. And then they immediately after that go into the Columbine thing and talk about how they're loners, and they quoted Marilyn Manson, and they listened to Marilyn Manson and all this stuff.
These were the news reports
going on in the background. So, but all this together, again, makes it seem like the music is the problem.
Music, one element of the problem, not just music.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
We're here at a music festival, so we're going to focus on the music, but they're definitely calling out other elements of society as a whole, I think. But music is definitely a very big through point for sure.
Yeah.
They also, the next thing I have, though, is they talk about having one woman per day.
Oh, right.
Which is kind of funny. There was exactly one woman per day.
Yeah.
But I also, This is one area I do back John Sear a little bit of like, we're not necessarily building the lineup thinking we have to have a certain number of women. It's just what we ended up landing on. I can see that argument. I don't think there needs to be a quota of male and women.
No, I don't either. I felt like
male and female.
Male and female, yeah. I felt like Hailstorm was invited to Back to the Beginning so that they had a woman on the stage. I honestly do.
Maybe. I mean, we've talked about that as well. I think her presence and what she did for women in metal is in hard rock.
Other people that could have been there, like Evanescence or
I don't think they're as big and as prominent as she was. That with the skin,
you don't think Evanescence is? They have that one song.
They have that one song exactly.
I don't know any Hailstorm songs.
Anywho, I do hate when people start pointing that up of like, well, there's too many males or men leads on this. We need a female lead to balance things out. Like, why? Like, why can't it just be about the music? But it is an issue with hard rock and metal, especially in the 90s, to me anyway, that it was a predominantly dominated white male sort of genre of music.
Right. You didn't see the diversity there.
This has since grown a lot. There's so much more diversity now in metal in particular. And even at book club, when I go there, they do sort of call out like, metal's just white males. It's like, it's not. Metal is so diverse, and it's not as good as it could be or should be.
Right. It's still very white male dominated.
Improving over and over and over.
Yes. So talking about the lineups, John made a comment that festivals tend to go towards many different genres of music. And this lineup was geared towards angry 24-year-olds.
Okay. I mean, we talked about this. I feel like the lineup was very diverse.
I do too.
So like pointing it towards the angry male 24-year-olds with a few examples of like Korn, Limp Bizkit, Metallica, Megadeth, Rage Against the Machine. Sure, maybe. But there's so much other diversity, I feel like, in the lineup.
Yeah. Because I made a comment of like, metal festivals, did those exist in the 90s?
So I do have a comment because they did, and I was going to bring that up at the end. Yeah. But 99, there was an Ozfest, and you want to talk about angry new metal, heavy metal music?
Is that when like Slipknot came up and stuff like that?
Exactly.
Yes.
So like, how, if the issue is the music and the culture as a whole, why did it happen here and why didn't it happen with Ozfest? So like that was something I was going to bring up at the end. We can still bring that up.
Yeah, we'll bring it up. Yeah.
But the next thing I have, or do you have anything else before getting to Limp Bizkit?
I have John thinks Fred Durst is a moron.
John Sear.
Yes.
Thinks Fred Durst is a moron. Yeah, he does.
Every time I say John, it's John Sear.
Yeah, he does really hate Fred Durst for sure.
Yeah.
So then getting to Limp Bizkit, which is next, because Fred Durst, he thinks Fred Durst is a moron or a douchebag or whatnot. But we do get to the Limp Bizkit set. Both documentaries do show the Limp Bizkit set.
Yeah.
I feel like the Netflix one shows it more than this one does.
Yeah, this one kind of goes into John talking about it more than, or before they show like the set happening.
I will say when watching this one and seeing Fred Durst perform and Limp Bizkit perform, I feel like there's a lot of downtime in their set. A lot of talking with Fred Durst talking, a lot of just dead silence.
So that calms down the crowds.
Exactly. It's not go, 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 go.
I didn't notice that. Now I kind of want to watch it again to kind of see, or like find it on the pay-per-view thing.
Yeah.
And watch their set and see how much downtime there is. Because we talked about that in last week's episode where, you know, like sets kind of have that built in where you either have the talking to the crowd or you have a slower song or something like that to like kind of calm it down and then you go hard again.
Right.
So.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So if Fred Durst is talking a lot or if there's a lot of like downtime in between, like that's calming down the crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going hard for 45 minutes or an hour.
And both of them do like tell like, you know, in both documentaries, they do talk about like, you know, Fred Durst just told and egged the crowd on and told them like, tear this fucking place down.
Yeah.
And like, that's the song, break shit, break shit, break shit. Like one guy was saying, he just kept saying break shit, break shit, break shit. It's like, those are the lyrics to the song.
Right.
Do you not understand?
Right. Was that Moby?
No, I don't know who it was.
Oh, okay.
Maybe one of the MTV. I don't know. But there was just one guy.
I think it was John again saying at a normal Limp Bizkit show, he doesn't yell break things
over and over.
It's like, fuck yes, he does. Like, that's the song. And we talked about this in last week's episode where it's like, how many shows are you at that they're like, you know, in the next song, I want you to go hard. I want you to tear this place apart. And it's like, nobody fucking does that.
But right before that, and they showed this on this documentary, Fred Durst up there talking during the song, like, now I want you to take all that negative energy and push it out. And like, that's a little bit, I think a lot of people don't understand about heavy music in general is a lot of it is just taking that negative energy, that negativity in us, and we just let it out at these shows.
Right.
And it might come off from an outside viewer as aggressive and anger, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's a controlled sort of communal expulsion or whatever the fuck the word is of getting that anger out of us as a communal thing.
I feel like you hear Jamie Josta say that during some songs where he's like, if you're pissed or whatever, you know, like something like that, then like take it out in the pit or whatever.
Yeah, like if you're pissed at work, you have work tomorrow, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, take it out in the pit or whatever.
Every front person in a heavy band does something along these lines almost at every show.
Yeah. So I think with Fred Durst saying that is what he's meaning is take it out in the pit, you know, take it out or whatever. Yep. And I think how the documentary poses it or how other people are taking it is go out and fuck this place up and tear it apart.
And I mean, the crowd they were tearing apart the sound stages. I'm not condoning what they did by any means. They were doing that. Jonathan Davis from Korn did also bring up, though, by the time Limp Bizkit took the stage, the crowd was already pissed.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were pissed off at being overcharged. They're pissed off at the heat. They're pissed off at just, in general, being pissed off at the festival. So
like that's the corporatization of the festival. Yeah.
And we talked about this as well in the Netflix documentary, but like, because they put like the Alamo up at the soundstage and you saw that image here, but they didn't talk to the crew or anything.
Right.
And the thing we talked about was there was no security over there. So again, to me, this is an issue with the promoters having a lack of security and staff to basically tell the crowd, like, get the fuck out of here. What are you doing? Or if they're doing shit like that, take them, like kick them out of the venue. Like, why the fuck aren't these people getting kicked out?
Yeah. If Michael and John always say it was just a handful of bad apples, why were those handful of bad apples still there?
Left to stay. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we've all been to shows where somebody gets kicked out for doing something.
Yeah, exactly. But I will say Fred, to me, did egg on the crowd just a little bit.
A little bit.
Because maybe more than a little bit. But there's one point where they showed it in this documentary. He's like, I'm going to paraphrase this, but he's like, that's some shit right there, surfing on the plywood. Because you would see.
That's true. But
that's
think
kind
about
of
how the front man or the front person does that in every show.
Yeah, but at the same time.
Think about municipal waste throwing trash cans into the crowd. Like they're egging it on then.
But they're the ones throwing the trash can in the crowd.
Okay, but if Fred Durst is the one that put the plywood in the crowd,
but he didn't put it in the crowd, so you have to start asking where the fuck that plywood come from. And you can look off to the side and you can see them tearing down the stage. Yeah. So again, he could have.
I don't know.
He could have done some respect, like, hey, I love the energy, I love what the fuck we're doing here. But come on, guys, we don't need to tear down this venue.
He could say that.
Metallica's coming up later. Let's fucking leave them a stage to fucking play on. You know what I mean? Like
that's true.
There is shit he could have done. Him saying, now that's some cool shit right there, does sort of add to like, oh my God, the band thought this was cool. I can now do this. That's all I'm saying.
I could see it that way. You're being the devil's advocate right now.
He didn't push for them to do it.
Yeah.
When he saw them do it, he could have said something to tell them not to do it. But at the same time, the promoters should have had infrastructure in place to make sure that that didn't happen. Or if it did happen, to put a stop to it right away.
Right. Yeah.
Is all I'm saying.
I would agree there.
And the journalist, the female journalist, again, I can't remember her name. Maureen. She did, I think it was her who said this, but like, you know, it was the guys of the 60s thinking that we needed another Woodstock.
Yeah, but it's more than just that. It's that those people it goes into like those people are running government, they're running corporations, they're running business, they're running everything.
And the black journalist also said this, where he's like, the problem is the people in power are the older generations and they fear the younger generation. They don't want to give up power. Yep. And I do agree with that.
I agree with
100%.
That too. 100%. I mean, look at how much people fight now to like have it their way because that's how it's always been.
Keep the status quo. Yeah, exactly. But one of the, I think it was her again, the journalist, but I think they said something along the lines of like, we don't need another Woodstock. We didn't need another Woodstock.
I think she did say that. Like, nobody wanted this.
And I was trying to think about that. Like, you could have easily called this festival something different.
Right.
And would the same thing have happened if you called it something different? Part of me thinks yes. Part of me thinks you're not going to get the same attendance if you call it something like Woodstock is a brand. It has value, or it had value. Maybe it doesn't have much value anymore, but it had value in driving up ticket sales. So calling it something different, you might get 250 instead of 350,000.
So thinking of it that way, this just popped in my head, but thinking of it that way, like back to Netflix talks about this, where Michael Lang makes the comment of he didn't want like any armed security there. He wanted it to be peace, like they had the peace patrol and stuff like that, because it was supposed to be this peaceful, like, you know, everybody's having communal thing and everything like that. And it's like they even had this, like, so saying Woodstock or, you know, naming it something else, if they had that same mentality, even if they named it something else, I think it would have still happened.
No, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Like they needed to change what they did for this not to happen.
Right.
No, it doesn't matter what name it is.
No, I agree. I think the shortfallings of the promoters still would have caused this sort of event to take place, the riots and all of that. I don't think you would have had the same number of attendees.
Oh, okay.
So the damage may have been less,
because you would have less people there.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Possibly.
Potentially, but also it's like the lineup was so good. I don't know. Yeah, maybe people wouldn't have traveled so far to go to some random festival in the middle of
But you had a bunch of people talking like, this isn't Woodstock, this isn't peace, love. There's fucking idiots in there.
Yeah.
So like those people may have shown up just for the Woodstock aspect, not thinking about the lineup.
Yeah. And you do see some shots of like the older guys, or like there were some women that had like kind of hippie looking clothes on and stuff like that. So I think there were people that went there for that type of experience and not necessarily there for the metal bands or, you know, like what they're making it out to be for like the big acts.
For sure. After Limp Bizkit, though, again, this is a much shorter exposure to Limp Bizkit than the Netflix documentary had. But after that, we get Rage Against the Machine on stage. Yep. And we don't get that in the Netflix. We don't hear anything about Rage Against the Machine, which is cool that they finally, like, they're shown here, but it's sort of glossed over. They don't say anything about Rage Against the Machine. They don't say anything about their set, the crowd, or any of that.
Yeah.
And then we kind of jump to Lars and Napster and what was going on in the 90s.
Yes.
Because that, again, came up of like talking about stealing music and the backlash Lars and Metallica had from that.
Yeah. And Dave Mustaine being like, doesn't he have enough money?
Yeah.
Does he have it? No, did he say like, does he have enough money?
Yeah.
Like, meaning like, does he need money?
I had that same thing. Yeah. Dave Mustaine saying that.
Yeah.
And then though that leads into the Metallica set.
Yep. Well, we get a clip from Dave's journal as well in there about how this whole time he's just saying like, I need to save my energy because I want to be in the pit for Metallica.
He went back to his tent to rest up for it. Yeah.
Like it's his favorite band. He wanted to be there to see Metallica perform. And so he has like a comment that like he went into the pit he was going to get into the pit
because his goal was to get on TV on like on the pay-per-view or whatnot, or MTV, being in the pit. And they talked to his friend David,
it's David and Dave.
But he's basically like, I was in the pit and it wasn't my scene. It's not what I enjoyed. So I told Dave like, hey, I'm gonna bow out, I'm gonna head to the back. And he's like, hey, you go do that, I'm gonna hang out here. Our
co-host is here.
Yes, Andy finally woke up. And that's really all that happens. We gloss over a little bit, but the one thing I noticed, the crowd, the energy was so different than Limp Bizkit or even Korn.
And you brought that up this time.
Was fucking insane. Yes. Seeing that crowd, every time we watched that, we were both like, holy fuck, look at that crowd. That would be so much fun.
Yeah. We even rewound it, or you say rewind anymore?
Whatever.
We went back
Yeah.
to watch it again because we wanted to see the shots of the crowd. And
For Metallica.
For Metallica. It is so different. You do see a couple crowd surfers and stuff like that happen, or like, you know, like you would, but it's nothing like Limp Bizkit or Korn, where like Korn was like the entire crowd was just moving.
You do see a few pits as well.
Yeah, but it's nothing compared to...
I can't remember who it was. They were talking about it, and they're like, it was just a wave. You couldn't control yourself. You kind of went with it. That's how Ozzy was the first time we saw Ozzy.
Yeah.
And I loved it, but it was also scary. I will admit it was a little scary.
There was moments of being scared.
We've been to a few other shows that have been like that, sort of like you just go with the flow of the crowd because you can't really fight it.
But they've been much smaller crowds.
Smaller crowds, yeah. But again, they've been scary, but also not scary because you know what to expect. You've gone through it once, blah, 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 and all that shit. But in any case, the Metallica set, the Metallica crowd was just so much calmer, I felt like, than
agreed.
The Limp Bizkit or the Korn sets.
And this is one thing that neither documentary does very well, is they focus on the bands that they want to, such as Korn and Limp Bizkit, and they don't focus on who's the headliner or who was the openers during the day or who was in between. Like we said, like this one, they talk about Rage Against the Machine. They don't even mention that Netflix. They never mentioned that.
Not even Metallica. The way it's edited and the narrative that they're trying to push for the Netflix one, it really does feel like it's Limp Bizkit and we're done.
Yeah, like they were the headliner and the show was over for the night.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I believe Netflix goes straight from Limp Bizkit to The Hangar, if I remember right.
Yeah, because that's Fatboy Slim.
Yep.
And he's talking about how I heard of chaos and something, but no damage or violence or anything like that, whatever it was. We do go to the rave hangar, though, after Metallica here, or at least it comes up.
I feel like this is the only time it comes up.
Yeah, I think it is also. Maureen, the female journalist here, I think it was her who said the rave was cynical and soulless.
Soulless. I have soulless on my notes.
No crossover between the metalheads and the EDM is what I have. Like she didn't view it. She's like, there's no world where somebody's going to see Limp Bizkit and then going to the rave hangar
to take ecstasy.
And a part of me is like, no, I would do that. Yeah. This sounds like so much fun to me. I would easily, after getting done with Metallica,
you would go take some ecstasy.
I'd go wander in the EDM tent for sure, the rave hangar.
Yeah, no, I'm joking.
I might take ecstasy. I don't know.
You can't even say ecstasy.
I cannot. I'll take that little pill you have there. What is this one?
Yeah, so again, it's another focus on the documentaries do not focus on the diversity of the crowd. Yeah, it's all about Korn, Limp Bizkit.
Yeah,
disaster.
But I do feel like there was a diversity in the crowd. There were people who wanted to go and only do the rave hangar.
And the rave hangar was packed. When they show it in Netflix, it's packed.
Yeah. I mean, it's, Netflix, they showed it's packed. It's sort of glossed over.
Yeah, this is the only mention, I believe.
This is where Moby played, and Moby talked about, the energy was, like, it just wasn't a good energy. And we got done with our set. We were going to stay all week, and we were like, no, we're getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, because he knew, and he knows the vibe of a venue before he even gets there. He could tell you because he's played in so many venues.
You do it for this long, you learn it. It's a sixth sense type thing.
Fuck you.
Going back to the journalist, she did also say, it's 24 hours music. It's go, 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 go,
You're
go,
always
go.
going up, 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 up.
And there's nothing to do with this energy until it dissipates. Like it's always this upward trajectory. Yep. And I kind of agree with her. I kind of disagree because thinking of like Shipwrecked or some of these cruises out there
I was going to say Headbangers Boat, the first year was just up, 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 up.
But there was the break in the morning.
There was, that's true.
With these other cruises, with the number of bands they have, it does feel like it goes
70,000 tons.
It does feel, I don't know when it starts, but it feels like it starts at 11 and goes to 4 a.m. Yep. So it's that same sort of trajectory. And we've talked to people who've been on those boats and they're like, it is just nonstop music.
Like you take a nap when you can.
It's like if there's a lull in the day, a point where there's not a band you really desperately need to see, you go and you nap for a couple hours or an hour. And then you get up and you start going again.
There is no like break in anything.
Yeah. So I feel like this would be the same way. Like to just blame it on 24 hours of music again. Like I'm not buying what she's selling in this point. Yeah.
The next thing I have is Sunday morning.
That's where I have as well, Sunday morning.
So, and there's a concert goer, her name's Jessica, and she woke up to tear down the wall.
And she's like, holy shit, Pink Floyd's here? Yeah. This is the kind of thing I want.
Yeah, because there was always, they don't bring it up here, but in Netflix they bring it up that on Sunday there was this like vibe in the air, or like rumor in the air that there was going to be a special guest. And Pink Floyd was one of them that people brought up that could have been there.
Yeah, and they, like, in the Netflix one, they're in one of the press conferences, they asked them, like, hey, so what's going on with the special guest or something? Is there another set happening or another headliner? And I think it was John Sear, whatever his name is, said to the press conference, like, Red Hot Chili Peppers are our last act, but we are trying to cook up something special. So in the Netflix, they allude to this sort of special event or special guest happening. And it ended up being a video of Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
And people got pissed about that. I think is what they were trying to point to as one of the reasons people are pissed. But hearing her be like, oh my God, Pink Floyd got so excited. They don't touch on it, but I think maybe that's what was really happening. She had heard those same rumors.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I wish they would have tied that in somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
But I don't even know if we said this yet about this whole thing, but she woke up and they were literally tearing down
the peace wall.
So it wasn't Pink Floyd coming.
And they were talking to a few people there, and they're like, why are you doing this? And one guy was like, why not?
Yeah.
And another guy was like, I'm bored.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't agree.
You would say that though. You'd be like, I was bored.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say that. And I'm not trying to defend them for doing what they did, but at the same time, there was no security to stop people from doing shit like that. If somebody goes and starts tearing down the wall at a festival, security or staff is going to come over almost right away and be like,
oh yeah,
stop that fucking shit. Or that's it, you're out. Get your fucking shit and you're done. We're not doing this today.
Right.
So again, to me, that's a lack of security, a lack of infrastructure that you have in place to support this amount of guests.
Yeah. And the documentary does bring up that I don't even know who was saying it, but they feel that a lot of the Peace Patrol or the security people that were hired got their credentials, got their shirt, and like put it in their pocket or put the credentials in their pocket and just waded off into the crowd and became part of the festival. Like they just did it to get into the festival. So to talk to that there wasn't enough security there, this could have been part of it. Or it's just an excuse that they're having because that they did hire enough security, but the security
I see what you're saying with like taking their shit away and not taking their shit away, but going off into the crowd. I mean, I did have thoughts about that when they were talking about that, and I think you brought this up last time we were talking about like the garbage around all the festival grounds, and they touch on that briefly in this documentary, not as in depth as they do in the Netflix one. But you talked about at Incarceration, we ran into a couple of people, and we were talking to them because Incarceration outsources. I can't remember the name of the company.
Oh, what's it called? Yeah.
But they do a bunch of festivals.
Yeah, but basically you volunteer to do different things, and one of them is trash pickup.
Yeah, and the way they've structured that is a little different, where you get a free ticket after you do you get reimbursed for your ticket.
So you have to pay for your ticket up front, and then you get reimbursed for it after you've served your two
shifts or whatnot. Yeah. And I'm thinking like, all right, that's actually a brilliant idea. Like if you want to be security, here's the perk for being security, but you don't get that perk till you complete your job.
Like you don't get paid till after.
This was more of like, here's your money, please do the job we told you to do. And you're like, all right. Yeah. Like again, this is just not thinking as like a promoter. And maybe again, it's what'd you say earlier about John just being not John, Michael. Like
just being oblivious.
I can't remember what you.
That's not the word I used though.
No.
Like he had his blinders on. Like he only wanted to see certain things.
Yeah, there's a certain word you use for it, and it's like, naive. Maybe I can't remember.
Yeah,
but
I can't remember what I said.
Maybe this is again where he's just like, oh yeah, of course. If you gotta trust people. Everybody's good at their nature. Just you gotta like trust them. If you tell them to do this job and you give them the money up front, they will do the job. Yeah. I think people are inherently evil and bad, not good. So I'm a complete opposite of Michael for sure. But maybe that's what his mindset was of like, oh no, trust them. They will. Like, just trust me. We take care of each other. Like this is no fucker.
Peace, love, and harmony.
Yeah, I don't believe so. Do you have anything else, or what's your next thing?
No, the next thing's getting into the rape and
Yeah.
stuff. So, it's the I think he might be like the head EMT guy or something, but I think he's also the guy that said that this was the worst thing he had worked or walked into or whatever. But so there's a video of like an ambulance going through the crowd. Now I don't know if this is the ambulance that has to do with the story or not, but that's what they're showing on the screen. But he notices that there's like a young girl inside, and the medic is there, but the medic doesn't have his shirt on, and so he goes up to him and is kind of like, dude, what the fuck, like, sort of thing. And then like a nurse comes out and like with a blanket and like kind of ushers the girl away. And at first I think he's thinking that the medic did something to this girl.
Oh, like, really? I didn't get that vibe at all.
I always have when we watch
Interesting.
this,
No,
that like the medic doesn't have a shirt on, the girl's unclothed as well, so it's like, what the fuck did you do, man, sort of thing, where it's completely opposite, where like this girl was getting assaulted, the medic gave her his shirt so that she was covered, and then like all this kind of went down, sort of thing.
Yeah, I didn't get that, because as soon as the medic gets out and sees this head EMT guy, he's like, watch her, make sure nobody comes near her. And then he goes in to get the nurse and comes out, and then
that's where he's like, what's happening.
Oh, he gave her his shirt.
Okay.
And the guy was like, what the fuck happened? And the guy who's driving let me say that over. The head EMT guy was like, what the fuck happened? And the guy driving the van or the ambulance was like, there are animals out there. They're just animals.
He does say that, yeah. Maybe I've always just thought of it the other way, where it's
I've never had that. That thought in my head.
Okay. But then John opens his big fucking fat mouth and said that there were a few incidents, and if you look at the police records, there was like maybe 10 or something like that.
Yeah, he was basically, if you look at the police records, there's not hundreds of incidents. There's maybe 10.
Okay, yeah.
Because he does say like there's not hundreds of incidents. Yeah. There's 10.
Yes.
Do you have his next part to that?
He's very critical of the women walking around with no tops on. And he said that
I have what he said as...
Okay, yes, go ahead.
I am not condoning it, but the women who were running around naked are partially to blame.
Yes. So I do have... So also I have in there... women with walking around without their shirts on should not... expect not to be touched.
Oh, yeah, something along those lines. Yeah.
So meaning like, if you are a woman and you walk around with whatever clothing on that you want and you are touched, it's your fault.
And that's a fucking bullshit argument that you've been hearing for decades of like, well, if you didn't want to be touched, you wouldn't dress that way. Yeah. And it's like, go fuck yourself. Yeah. What the fuck are you saying?
Right.
What a fucking piece of shit.
Right. Like, okay, I had personal here. I was at a lunch with the first bank that I worked with, because we did like a little bowling thing, that we went out to lunch, and the branch manager and the assistant branch manager were talking about their sons and talking about how women dressed during that time period. So this was 15 years ago or whatever, and like how women were dressing, and like they shouldn't shouldn't dress like that or whatever. I got pissed and I said, I hope you're teaching your sons not to touch women or to think about women that way when they see them dressed that way. Like, because that's where this is actually, I mean...
Yeah, no, you got parenting and teaching.
Yes, and just like this whole, like, it's not the woman's fault. Men walk around without shirts on all the time. There were men in this documentary on the, sorry, I always want to say OnlyFans. What's it called? Pay-per-view. And on the Netflix documentary that are completely butt-ass naked.
Yep.
Things flying everywhere, which I don't want to see, but whatever. And you don't see women going up and grabbing them.
Right.
I mean, maybe it happened, but you don't see it.
Right. Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Now, I mean, I'm trying to say this without it sounding bad.
Like a man coming off saying something?
It's supposed to be funny, what I'm about to say. Hopefully it comes off that way. But you were talking about people talking, like your managers or whatnot, talking about these women not wearing clothes and blah, 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 and all that kind of shit. And just a couple episodes ago, or it's actually at the time of the recording, this has been a few episodes ago. This will go up probably July, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows when this will go up?
Yeah, I think it'll be in July.
But in any case, we were on our way to the Behemoth show in Milwaukee at the rave.
Oh, yes.
And we both had comments
Yeah,
about the clothing women were wearing.
Yeah, because I think they were going to like a dance or a prom or something.
And it's these tiny ass skirts that barely cover their asses. But our comments were more of, we're the old people, like, where are all your clothes, young lady?
Yeah.
Put some fucking clothes on. Ugh.
Yeah.
Not like, oh my God, you're going to get molested.
Yeah, or like, oh, I want to do something to you because
Yes.
I see like you in a short skirt or whatever.
I was trying to make fun of our age, being
know,
the
we
old
were.
people now, being like, where's the rest of your clothes?
So I think I said that like once we passed them a little bit. I'm like, I think I'm old now because
Yes.
I'm like, you need to have a longer dress on.
Yes.
But it's not in effect of like you can't show your body.
No, yes.
It's more like I don't know, like I don't want to dress that way.
I would not dress that way. How dare you?
know.
How dare you? Again, that was meant to be comical. Hopefully it came off that
hopefully
way.
it did, yeah. And hopefully when we talked about it during the Behemoth show, it came off comical
Yes.
and not us being prudes or
Yeah,
like,
no, wear what the fuck
sexualizing
you
women.
want to wear.
Yeah, who cares what you wear?
Be your person.
Yeah, I think in last week's episode, I was talking about like I like seeing women go to shows and like wearing like the leotards or whatever they're wearing because I like the confidence that they have.
The confidence they have, yeah.
I could never do that. I'm jeans and a t-shirt. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I did have one comment here around the males asking to see, like, show us your tits.
Oh yeah.
There was a clip where they showed like walking through the crowd, like the home video and whatnot. And the quote somebody had was something along the lines of, "Show us your tits for the media." And again, that just reinforced sort of the atmosphere around the air, and especially with like the pay-per-view of like, hey, do you want to get on TV? Do you want to be on pay-per-view? Show us your tits.
So HBO, the HBO one that we're talking about now, I think showed it more or better than the Netflix one. But there's shots of the guys and how there's like 30 guys around one woman.
Oh, yes, yes.
Like, and she'll have like a bikini top on and like wanting her to like, you know, show herself or whatever. And that's just disgusting. Like.
And they have their dicks out too.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
Disgusting.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
I notice that every time for some reason. I don't know why. It's disgusting.
Oh, that's even worse.
Moving on to something that's also not happy, I guess.
Yeah.
Dave can't be found. His friends they woke up the next morning. They're trying to find him.
Yeah. Before we go on to Dave.
Oh, yeah.
So there's Liz, a concert goer, that's interviewed after all this with talking about the sexual assaults and everything that's happening. And she felt unsafe. So she went home or she left.
Okay.
Because she just didn't feel safe being there or whatever. And she had heard rumors of other people
not
feeling
this
safe.
part. Yeah.
So she started either like a chat board or an email thing or something like that. And for women to share their stories and be anonymous and, like not because she knew people weren't reporting it or whatever. So she started this and she got hundreds of responses of what happened to these women.
And that kind of goes back to John's point of you don't have hundreds of police reports. You have
maybe that's
10.
where the hundreds came from, is from her comment.
But also like to counter John's point and just like assault and rape in general, it's not heavily reported to the police because of numerous reasons. Yeah. It's not, the numbers that are reported are so low. I think in undergrad I took a class called Social Problems, and this was one of the topics we talked about. And I think at that point in the mid 2000s, if I remember the numbers correctly, I think it was estimated that only about 50% of cases were reported.
I think it's lower than that.
It could be a lot lower.
Yeah.
I have still have the book. I need to find it.
I mean, obviously you wouldn't know.
But that's dated information.
If they're not reported, then you wouldn't know.
That's what I'm saying. It's an estimate of what we think of what I think it was the FBI did these numbers. It's what the FBI at the time thought.
I mean, look at this. If she's getting hundreds of responses of women and there was only 10 reported and 4 were sexual or were rapes that were reported, that is crazy.
Right. So I mean, all I'm trying to say is like John Sears saying like, well, look at the reports.
Yeah, look at the police reports.
You can't do that.
Right.
Like it's you can't do that.
Yeah.
So I didn't put this down. I thought it was later on. Good thing you brought that up. Now to Dave.
Yeah. So David's talking now. Dave's friend David. And it's Sunday morning and he's waking up and kind of like I don't know. He went with like his brothers or something, and then his
their friend groups. Yeah.
And like so he woke up and like can find his brothers, but he can't find his friend Dave at this point.
Yeah, whatever the group dynamic is, there's definitely like a group of brothers and friends and whatnot there. But yeah, in any case, they can't find Dave.
Yeah.
They start searching the grounds for him.
And we talked about how there's no cell phones.
Yep.
And like they show a picture of like the Find My Friend wall.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's not what it's called, but like where people are putting up papers and stuff, and they kind of there was 3 of them, so they kind of went different ways. Like one went to the medical tent, one went to the first, or like the east stage and
they
west
split
stage
up, and they would all like meet back up, like, did you find him? And they're thinking like, hey, maybe he went to the rave hangar after Metallica. Again, going back to that comment earlier of like, there's no overlap.
Right.
And they're like, Dave's an easygoing guy. He just likes music. He's gonna go wander around, find people, meet new friends, and sure, let's go check this out.
And David's saying like, by this point they're like pissed. They're like, something better have fucking happened, because where the fuck is he?
I would be too.
I would think I would too.
We're leaving today. We need to like make sure we're all together and whatnot. I can't remember who it was, but they end up finding out that.
So it's Rob. That's David's brother. So,
but he ends up finding out that Dave apparently passed away. The night before at the Metallica show. He had hypothermia and got taken to the medic's tent. They used the paddles on him, thinking he was ODing. And he's like, David was saying like, it's crazy. We didn't take any drugs. We weren't into drugs. There's no way we would have taken drugs. So I get his anger there a little bit of like him being like, of Dave being mistreated or misdiagnosed and then mistreated.
Had the wrong treatment plan for what was happening to him.
But the way it sounds, these EMTs are there's so much going on so quick. They're taking any information they can and trying to make the best diagnosis they can. The point he does make is that the EMTs didn't have the equipment, like the thermostat they needed to tell that what really was going on was hypothermia, not an OD.
Because he said that you need an internal thermometer, not a like under the tongue thermometer.
So I get his anger, but at the same time, I'm also not super critical of the EMTs, because you heard people talk about it being like a war zone, Vietnam med tent sort of thing, MASH unit or whatnot. And this is said in both documentaries that this is like, it was so chaotic, there was so much going on that you kind of just sort of I have to get through this as fast as I can, because there's the next patient, there's the next thing. So I get his frustration. I really do.
Of course,
And it's really sad to see that like he was just there to have fun, and like the comment that David made of like, and this when he like starts to tear up really hard, is like, I now have to go call his mom, and it's like, oh fuck, that's not a fun conversation. I've never had it, but like, but I did really love the inclusion of Dave's story in this.
And you don't know until this point that's why you're reading his journal, or why they're going through his journal, and not that he had passed away.
Seeing how he was such a fan of music and just so excited to be there, and it sucks. It really does suck. So I'm glad this was at least included in this, that personal touch that the Netflix documentary didn't do. You didn't get that personal touch from those who had passed away during this.
You didn't. And also, just thinking about it just now, like, it kind of goes to not everybody there was there to riot and destroy everything. Like, he was literally there just to see his favorite band perform. And
it happened to be a heavy band too.
Oh yeah. And he wanted to be in the pit. God forbid. He wanted to be in the pit.
Get that anger out and destroy the place.
But it's like, the first time we saw Metallica was 2009, so 10 years later. And it's like, you wanted to be I remember being close to the stage and everything. It's like, you wanted to be in that experience. And like, so I don't know if he'd seen Metallica before. Dave. Like, I don't know if he had, but like, maybe this was his one time of seeing them perform. And he's like, I wanted to be close to the stage. I wanted to be in the pit. I wanted to have that experience. And I'm sure there's some guilt from David because he left him.
Yeah.
Like, you hear that in the Astro World. Where like people were, the one guy, how he like left his friend who was getting trampled basically, or smothered or smashed or whatever you want to say, to go try to get help. And like, he feels so much guilt because she passed away. And it's like, I'm sure he's still feeling that today over the whole experience.
But then we go to the press conference for the final day.
Yeah.
Very heated, just like it was in the Netflix one, of like pushback from the reporters, and then John Sear just being like, if you want to come do this, you come do this. Like, it's about, and just, he's very combative.
So he berates the person asking making the statements, and he says, like, do you have a question?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to talk, come up here and talk, but do you have a question for me? And, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like you see that sometimes today with the men who don't like to be questioned, especially by a woman. So.
John also hates Kurt Loder from MTV.
Yeah.
Apparently, Michael called him a apparently, Michael called him a Michael called him a war journalist because that's what he wanted to be.
Yeah.
I always liked Kurt Loder.
Did you?
I did. He was always one of my favorite guys on there.
So John does blame MTV and like talks about that and stuff, and said that MTV is the reason why it turned into an animal fest.
Yeah.
So, and he made the comment, he's like, they were not part of the team. So I think, but I think it's because every time they show the press conference, it's all happy-go-lucky. Everything's, like everything's going great. Like even after this, I think that they shoot to another shot of them just sitting on a couch, and they're like, oh yeah, everybody's having a good time. It's just a little hot.
A little hot.
Like it's a great time. And then, but like everybody's seeing it on the pay-per-view, and everybody's seeing it on MTV. Like it's a shit show.
Yeah. The next thing I have is Jewel taking the stage.
Yeah.
She said the crowd felt tired and depleted.
Yep.
Which, I get that. It was the final day.
And she was kind of
No, go ahead.
I was going to say she was kind of questioning how is she going to perform to this crowd?
Yeah.
Because she knew, her music's a little softer and stuff, and she knew that like there was just a tension there, and she's like, how are we going to put this out? And I feel like does Netflix go into her like trying to put together her
they do
list?
Show that in her trailer, putting her set list together.
Like because she knew that the crowd was like a little angsty and like all that stuff, so then she was like, oh, let's change some songs around or whatever. So
the one thing the Netflix did that this one didn't is it showed people leaving. They didn't show a whole lot of people leaving here. I think they may have mentioned it, but in Netflix they cover that more in depth of like a lot of people left,
like
and
you just
they
saw
were
the line
interviewing
of
them.
Cars and stuff.
And then the question was, why did people stay? And I was trying to think about that. Like at this point, I probably would have stayed too. I've already been here this long. It's sunk cost. And that's a fallacy. Like you don't need to do sunk cost theory and all that.
Right, but like I think we talked about it in last week's episode where people left incarceration because their tents got flooded and stuff like that too, where we were kind of lucky and ours didn't. So we were like,
that's true.
But if we would have got back on Saturday night and our tent was completely flooded and we had nowhere to sleep and no clean or dry clothes or whatever, like
then I probably would have been done.
We probably would have been done. We would probably have been like, oh, fuck this. Like, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So, these people, who knows? Like, they're tired of the smell. They're just tired. They have no money left. By Sunday, they didn't mention it in here, but in Netflix, they do like, by Sunday, like water was $12 a bottle because
the Netflix brought that up. They didn't bring it here. Like the inflation or the overcharging because certain vendors were out and you can only get it at like one vendor.
Yeah.
The next thing I have is Red Hot Chili Peppers and Flea with this call for people to throw their guns away. Like if you have guns in your car or at home, like get rid of that shit. You don't need it. Which played into like the whole candlelight.
Yeah.
Which they ended up doing Under the Bridge again, or not again.
Yeah, but showed it. Yeah. Which I said last week after doing the Netflix one that I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like to
the
see
lights,
like all the candles just lit up in the crowd and stuff. I think it's beautiful. Unfortunately, it led to disaster, but. Yeah, I think it's really nice.
Anthony Kiedis is asked to like calm the crowd down a little bit. I think in the Netflix one they say he's like they're not going to listen to me.
Yeah.
Because fires had started all over the place.
Did you know the mayor is the person that asked him to calm down?
They said that in the Netflix one.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay, I never got that. I always thought it was like a producer or something. Yeah. But in this one, they actually show like the mayor talking about it. So.
But then they come back out for their encore, which again they played fire. But before they did that, because the fires were still going on. They do show John trying to like tell people like, hey, we need to stop this. We need to put the fires out.
Yeah.
They don't put the fires out. They come back out. Anthony Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers is like, holy shit, it looks like Apocalypse Now out there.
Yeah. I did make a note that in the editing of this documentary, they're already showing people going to like the merch tents and destroying the like sound towers and all that. In the Netflix, all that happens after the bands are off the stage.
Do they show that here?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like the toppling of the sound tower and stuff was while they're still talking about Red Hot Chili Peppers being on the stage. So I think just the fire started while Red Hot Chili Peppers were on the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in this one, they show like the destruction happening.
Okay, they all get muddled in my head because I thought it was the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They played Fire. They showed the fire starting, and then they go straight into the riots and how people were rioting. Because the next thing I have after they playing Fire, or they being Red Hot Chili Peppers playing Fire, was a guy talking about how he went into a trailer, grabbed all the frozen pretzels and started flinging them around. He's basically like, I had more water Sunday than I did, or during the riots than did any other time because I had access to it. And then he said something along the lines of, in a million years, I never would have thought I would join a riot. It just happened.
Yeah. So I think this is where I'm talking about that this documentary is like showing all that happening while Red Hot Chili Peppers is on the stage.
Okay.
Because then they go into Megadeth performing.
All right. So that's what I'm going to say. Or why do you think that then? Or what? Sorry.
So right when they're talking about, I wrote this down because I wanted to remember. So right when they're talking about Red Hot Chili Peppers performing and the mayor coming out and saying that they needed to calm down and stuff, and then they played Fire.
Yep.
There's editing here that shows the destruction of the sound tower and them going into the trailers and into the vendor tents. Netflix shows that as after everything was done.
Okay.
And after... So there's the whole rioters breaking in, like you said, and getting the water and stuff. I had all that as well. And then they have like shots of Peace Patrol being like, don't engage with them. Like, you know, the riot police is coming in and all that stuff. And then this documentary shows that Megadeth is performing.
Okay. So, all right.
So it's all the editing. That's all I'm saying.
No,
editing is off.
I don't know if it's off. All right. I wanted to call this up as well because this is a differentiation between this documentary and the Netflix one as well, is that in the Netflix one, especially at that press conference, they're like, Red Hot Chili Peppers is the last act of the night.
Yeah, that's true.
Then we're going to have our special event thing, which is the video. This one says, and it's because I'm jumping ahead here to when Megadeth was on, they said it was perfect that the whole festival ended with Megadeth playing Peace Cells. So the way I interpreted this is it truly was Red Hot Chili Peppers, Riot, and then Megadeth.
So they still played after all the riots happened?
On the other stage a mile away is the only thing I can think of. Because even the video they showed Dave Mustaine, like, do you see that light over there? It means we have 5 minutes left until the end of Woodstock. We have time for one more song. And they went into Peace Cells.
So you think that he was on the other stage, like on the west stage?
Yes, I think he was truly the last act.
Okay.
But again, the way the editing is, especially with the Netflix one, they're fucking around with the editing with who's truly the headliner or who's truly the last act.
When everybody's performing.
But then again, like, what's the headliner? Red Hot Chili Peppers was the headliner of that stage. Yeah. Megadeth was the headliner of the other stage. So the way I see this is it was Red Hot Chili Peppers, Riot, Megadeth.
Okay, that could
but
be.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you were saying with like how you saw it edited. But during that whole riot, again, they brought the state troopers in. I think last time you thought they said something about National Guard.
I thought it was National Guard, but it was the state troopers,
Somebody brings up a point of like, I think it was one of the attendees who's like, what would have happened if this was a hip hop festival or something?
Yeah, because they're like, we're all white people.
We're white privileged. He's like, talk about white privilege. They came in, the riot police came in and they're like really calmly like, all right, stop doing this.
Yeah, like, just move on.
It makes me wonder for sure. Like, would it be different? I mean, we have Asteroid. There were people getting trampled and the police did absolutely nothing. Yeah. Nobody went in to stop that.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Would corporate greed allow for police to come in and break it up, even if it was a hip hop show? You know what I mean? Like, you gotta let the show go on to make the money. What else do we have? We talked about the Megadeth thing.
The next thing I have is the 4:30 a.m. press conference. Where again, John says that it was just knuckleheads and MTV made them look bad in the press.
Yeah, I have that as well.
Or do you have something in between that?
No, I can't read my writing.
Oh.
Overwhelming. Oh, he did say something along the lines of overwhelming amount of people had a good time. And then, yeah, definitely like MTV set the tone. We got killed in the press because of how MTV framed it. Did not anticipate Fred Durst starting a riot.
Yeah. Do you want know what my next note is?
About the riot? I bet it's the night before.
That was the fucking day before.
Yes.
Like, he hates Fred Durst so bad.
Yeah.
Like, that he's putting all the blame on Fred Durst.
The riot happened the very next day after all of it, and at the very end of the show.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can't blame Fred Durst for that.
Right.
You have to look elsewhere.
Right.
The next comment I have is that 3 months later, Coachella had started.
Yes, the first Coachella.
They gave away free parking and free water to all attendees.
Yeah. So it reminds me of Knotfest Iowa 2024. Is that what we did? 2025? 2024. And we got a free bottle of water in line.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And there was free water everywhere and huge signs that said water
this
everywhere.
way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
However, this was the main documentary guy, the voiceover and whatnot. He's a music journalist as well, but he's like the main guy.
Yeah.
At least that's my vibe. He's the main guy who put this together. But he said that about Coachella, but in the very next breath, he's like, but if you look at Coachella today, it's, and all music festivals, all large music festivals, they've all sort of shifted back to what Woodstock 99 was with the corporate greed and the overcharging of
The
people.
money, yeah.
And he's like, unless you have the money to literally have a sign that says you are a very important person, to stand behind the stage to take your photos to make everyone else think you're having a good time.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool call out.
And that's, I mean, even last week before we even watched this one, I mentioned the whole $20 tacos at Coachella, and it's like, it's all over the place.
He did also say the main tragedy of Woodstock 99 was that all of the issues were foreseeable and therefore preventable.
Yes. Yep.
And I 100% agree with that.
Yep. And now we're kind of at the wrap up where they're talking to Michael Lang before the end, or like to wrap up.
Yeah, there's news reports that you hear over the footage of just sort of like talking about everything, talking about the investigation of the 4 rapes, the prison guard who assaulted a 15-year-old, a bunch of shit like that. So you had all that getting in. I do like when at the beginning and the end, it's a good bookend to have both of those, but also showing like the news reports.
Our camera died, but we're going to keep going. We're almost done. So, and now towards the end, we're like, they're interviewing Michael Lang as today. Well, in 2021, he has passed away since, but, and like kind of, wrapping up the documentary in that way. 94 had a similar vibe to 69, where the lineup or the program, he called it programming, but basically the lineup was more towards a different audience. And with 99, they wanted it to be more contemporary, and this was what contemporary was for the time period. I think he's referencing the nu metal bands, Limp Bizkit, Kid Rock, Korn, that sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Without calling out the bands.
100% calling out the programming or the artists they had on stage as to what happened.
Yeah.
Where he's basically saying, like, if this was programmed more like the previous years, we would not have had these issues.
Yeah. Again, blaming the bands for what happened.
Which, again, I talked about Ozfest 99 happening. Ozfest happened. The main stage was Black Sabbath, Rob Zombie, Deftones, Slayer, Primus, System of a Down, Godsmack, and Static X. The second stage, I don't know all these bands, Drain STH, Fear Factory, Head PE, Slipknot, Push Monkey, Paya, Flashpoint, and Apartment 26.
Yeah, some of those I don't know, but I mean, having the bands that I do know, that's pretty heavy.
Right. That is very fucking heavy.
Because, like, if you look at the lineup, Slayer and Slipknot could be going on almost the same time.
Right.
Or, like, one after another. So that means the energy is going from one to the other.
And the Slayer crowd, we already know, goes fucking hard.
Yes.
So I have a hard time saying the music was too heavy and that's what caused this. If that was the case, why the fuck did this not happen at Ozfest?
Yeah, when did Ozfest happen? Or, like, when does it have, like, the actual date?
It does, and it started May 27th and went to July 24th. So
during this time, though.
Sure, there is the one caveat there being this is a touring festival.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that was a 1 day or 2 day per stop.
Probably one day with the number of bands and 2 stages.
Yeah, they do have the dates as well. Yeah, it looks like just one day.
Yeah.
Some of them had 2 days. It's probably overlap and whatnot, or that's just the same show 2 days. I don't know. So maybe you don't have, but then again, I don't know.
I mean, granted, you don't have 350,000 people there.
Sure,
but
why don't you have smaller rights or smaller issues?
Right.
I think it's the 3 days, the taking advantage of everybody over those 3 days. Sure, the heat played into it, but you didn't have infrastructure to support high temperatures.
Yeah.
How the fuck did you not think that in July it's going to be hot?
On black
possibly?
tarmac, it's going to be hot.
Come on. And again, that goes back to the issues were foreseeable and therefore preventable.
Yeah.
The interview then did ask Michael, like, do you ever think Woodstock will happen again? And I think his response was, there always could be. I've just learned never to say never about that.
Yeah.
And then we go into the credits with the Offsprings. The kids aren't okay playing in the background, but they have some sort of comments on the screen. Maybe we'll throw screenshots of that up. But basically it says 44 arrests were made during Woodstock 99. 8 sexual assaults were reported, of which 4 were alleged rape.
Yeah. And I think that's where John is getting his number of like.
Maybe. It's 10.
It's 10. It's so low. It doesn't really matter.
Good thing he rounded it up, I guess.
I guess, right?
Whatever. The next one was, it's estimated that hundreds more occurred over the weekend. The next screen, in 2022, the Coachella Music and Arts Festival celebrated its 22nd anniversary. The festival brings an estimated $106 million to the economy of Indigo, yeah. Indio?
No, it's Indigo.
There's no G.
Oh.
INDIO.
Oh, I always thought it was Indigo.
Oh, no.
California.
The festival brings an estimated $106 million to the economy of Indio, California annually. I don't know how the fuck that. I always thought it was Indigo, but
yeah, me too.
There's no G in that.
Did they fuck up on the spelling?
I don't know. Maybe. The next comment after that. After paying fees and fines, the city of Rome only made $200,000 from Woodstock 99.
Yeah. So the comparison between 106 million and
I guess that's what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Where'd that other money go? Because I bet we talked about this last time. Did Woodstock make money? I think it made money.
Yeah.
If the city made $200,000 off of that and all the fines and shit.
Woodstock as a brand maybe made no money because they could have had a contract with that they had to pay so much to Rome and then they could only pay $200,000 to Rome.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
The next one. In 2019, Michael Lang announced plans for Woodstock 50, a 3-day event celebrating the 50th anniversary of the original festival, which would have happened in 2019, so after this documentary came out, which is interesting because the festival was canceled last minute, citing a series of unforeseen setbacks, poor planning, and
Firefest couldn't take off. So
I don't know. But yeah, that wraps up this documentary.
Yeah.
This episode was longer than I thought it would be.
Much longer, because I was like, oh, it's just an hour and 40 minute.
Yeah, it's like 2 episodes instead of 3 episodes.
Yeah, so I don't know. This one definitely went towards the music very, very hard, in my opinion.
The music and culture as a whole as being the problem. But I mean, they do touch on the underlying sort of the issue was the promoters and whatnot, especially with that last comment of everything was foreseeable and therefore preventable. I agree with that 100%. I feel like the blame is solely on the promoters.
The promoters,
and the lack of security, the way they were price gouging people, all of that. I do believe that.
I feel like Netflix goes after the promoters a little bit harder throughout the documentary, and it's more of the people who worked it or were there, involved in it in a way that were more hard on the promoters, in my opinion.
It's interesting because I watched the Netflix one and I don't walk away with like this is a scathing indictment of the promoters.
I don't think either one is.
No.
I don't think either one is by any means, but I feel like Netflix kind of pushes at the promoters more.
Yes, I agree with that.
Because of their comments.
Yes, the Netflix one, definitely I agree with that they push harder and blame the promoters more than this one does. With the music journalists here pointing out, like, and even Moby, fuck that motherfucker, but pointing out, like, oh, it's the aggressive metal music and the troglodyte people that listen to metal music, and, like, just, I feel like they're attacking hard music and heavy music so much in this, being like, they just, I don't know. It really frustrates me.
It is,
to see that. With that said, I prefer this documentary more than the Netflix.
John's not quite as skeezy in this one, so maybe it's a little
He
bit
is
better.
and he isn't, but not quite as much. There's that last comment at the very end.
That the women deserve it because they're walking around.
But he also says something similar here of like, you should have expected it for dressing that way, or lack of dress. So like he's got a very similar shitty person to himself in both.
I like the personal touches that this one has with Dave's journal and the way David talks about the festival and stuff, where the other one does have that from like Heather and a couple of the other people. But this one, I don't know, just
hits harder.
Maybe because they have Dave's journal and Dave passed away. But I don't know. I do like the Netflix one. I'm not going to say better. Whenever I think about it, I always go to the Netflix one as my like thoughts on what I remember.
Gotcha.
And not the HBO one. But maybe that's just because we watched that one first, and then this is kind of like the second, like.
And again, they do blend together so much in my mind, because there's a lot they cover, and we even talked about doing both of these documentaries in one.
Could you imagine? This would be like a 5-hour long episode.
Maybe not. We would have consolidated a lot of stuff, because we went over a lot of the same information.
We did.
The last time we watched this, we watched this to get prepped for it, just to get it fresh in our minds, and then we watched it a second time, so we took our notes to like know what we were looking for. And it was that time before that first sort of rewatch that I was like, these are kind of sort of different in what they're tackling.
Yeah. When you look at it that way, when you're like thinking about how we're going to talk about it and stuff, you do see the difference.
So it's like, all right, let's do these as 2 separate episodes.
Both of them do, though, focus on Korn, Limp Bizkit, Kid Rock as the heavy acts in a way. So
and Red Hot Chili Peppers at the end as well with the fire encore.
I guess I don't consider Red Hot Chili Peppers heavy, so I'm always like, it's always left like to the side.
But again,
they
more
do
of like,
bring it because that's when the riots were starting and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and like we asked the artists to help us calm things down, and they refused to calm the crowd down. In any case, I love these documentaries. I watch them all the time. It's probably on Netflix, it's the thing I've watched the most besides like Archer.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
I watched that the most. Then it's Archer, Archer this, and then probably Firefest. Honestly, I enjoy these. Hopefully, you enjoyed watching them. There's a lot of spoilers. They were long, so if you stuck it through to the end, thank you for that. If you haven't watched them, go check them out. They're fucking awesome. If you have watched them, maybe check them out again. They're fucking awesome.
Go in with a different mindset.
Yeah. I don't know. It's shitty, but I don't know. Hopefully people have learned, and it sounds like Coachella. I don't know where I'm going with that. In any case, the important thing for us is still live music, getting out and experiencing that crowd. Hopefully we shared some of that passion with you here, but we're talking about like, that is what music is. Like that is the type of music. Heavy music is like that, but it's not what you're saying it is. And heavy music is our music that we like to go see, but we like to see it live. Regardless of what music is, we love live music. So I've been rambling way too long. Basically, get out there, check out some live music, and we'll see you at the next show.
Bye.